Chapter 88. A ferry boat traveled through the sea of clouds. On the deck, Chu Kuangren sat cross-legged with his 3 Taoist protectors around him. All 4 of them had Taoist rhymes circulating around their bodies. The 4 of them were having a mental discussion. An Honorable Supreme and 2 Honorables were having a mental discussion with Chu Kuangren. Not long after, the Taoist rhymes converged and the transformations in the sky disappeared. I feel that my heaven-slaying sword drawing technique is only 1 step away from leveling up. However, this last step is too difficult to take. Chu Kuangren said. The heaven-slaying sword drawing technique was already a sage ruler technique. 1 more step and it would be the legendary emperor technique, a supreme technique that could only be created by an emperor. A long time ago there were still emperor techniques. However, as the emperors disappeared, the inheritance of emperor techniques was gradually cut off. It has been tens of thousands of years since we last saw an emperor technique. The 7th forefather said helplessly. This was an era of great battles. The great Tao had manifested and the emperor's path was reopened. However, the inheritance of emperor techniques had long disappeared. The cultivators of this era had to start from scratch again. It's all right. Emperor techniques are created by humans. If the emperors of old could do it, there's no reason we can't, Chu Kuangren said with a strong and convincing look in his eyes. The 3 Taoist protectors looked at each other with a look of relief. Peerless talent, outstanding comprehension, a Tao heart that was as firm as a rock, and this kind of indomitable aura that was not weaker than others. To them, Chu Kuangren was born to be a cultivator. He was born to stand at the peak. Bachelor Sage, which orthodoxy should we visit next? Honorable Qinglan, the School of White Lotus's protector, asked curiously. Let's go to the Dharma sect, Chu Kuangren said. The Dharma sect dared to use the name Dharma sect. Naturally, they had countless cultivation techniques. No other orthodoxy in the Azure Dragon domain could compare to them. Some people even said that the Dharma sect had 8 out of 10 Taoist techniques. It was obvious that the Dharma sect had a lot of cultivation techniques. Chu Kuangren had to go to the Dharma sect to perfect his Taoist techniques. In a city at the foot of the mountain in the Dharma sect. This city was very prosperous because it was backed by a sage orthodoxy like the Dharma sect. Cultivators from all over the world had gathered here. When Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu arrived at the city, they planned to rest here for a day before paying the Dharma sect a visit the next day. Quick! The Dharma sect is recruiting at the plaza. Then I'll go take a look as well. The sage orthodoxy is recruiting new people. I have to go and take a look. The cultivators on the street immediately rushed towards a certain direction, causing the originally bustling street to become somewhat deserted. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu looked at each other curiously. Come, Lan Yu, let's go take a look as well. Chu Kuangren was intrigued. He brought Lan Yu to the central plaza of the city, which was already crowded with people. In the middle of the square, there were several stone pillars engraved with all kinds of mysterious runes and embedded with 9 gems. There was a long queue in front of the stone pillar, and a dozen disciples from the Dharma sect were maintaining order. Next, a disciple of the Dharma sect shouted. A cultivator walked in front of the stone pillar and placed his hand on it. The gem on the stone pillar immediately shone. 1 gem, 2 gems, a total of 4 gems shone brightly. Seeing this, the cultivator became dejected. For stars. Fail. Leave. The Dharma sect disciple said indifferently. Chu Kuangren stood at the back of the queue and observed for a while. He noticed that many cultivators could only light up 3 or 4 gems. Only a few who could light up more than 5 gems were accepted. And that was only the first round. What is the stone pillar? Chu Kuangren was curious. It's a treasure specially developed by the Dharma sect to test a cultivator's aptitude. Just then, a voice came from beside Chu Kuangren. It was a white-robed young man who walked in front of Chu Kuangren. He smiled and said, "This treasure classifies the cultivator's aptitudes into 9 levels. The best cultivators can light up 7 to 8 gems. Those with poor aptitudes can only light up 1 gem." The white-robed young man explained passionately. Then 4 stars should be considered good. Chu Kuangren said. That's right. For stars are considered geniuses in some of the honorable orthodoxies. Unfortunately, it's not that easy to enter the Dharma sect. The Dharma sect's minimum requirement for disciples is 5 stars. Moreover, aptitude is only the first round of assessment. There are still other assessments such as comprehension, Taoist core, and so on. It's very strict. The white-robed young man seemed to be very familiar with the Dharma sect's assessment. Chu Kuangren could not help but look at him. He activated his eye of revelation. Su Tianyi, Dharma sect's Taoist. Cultivation level, Paradise realm. Cultivates the Sage technique. Universal 8 Baron technique, Sage technique. Transcendent coalescence. Chu Kuangren was surprised. This person was a Dharma sect's Taoist. From the eye of revelation, this person's strength was even stronger than Yuan Hong's. Brother, you're here for the recruitment too, right? Come. Don't waste your time waiting in line. I'll bring you to the assessment. Su Tianyi dragged Chu Kuangren to the front of the crowd. Chu Kuangren was stunned. Since when did he say he wanted to take the assessment? Brother, you just don't want to cut the line, right? It's okay. I'm the one in charge here. If I say it's okay, it's okay. Su Tianyi interrupted Chu Kuangren's words. Without waiting for Chu Kuangren to say anything, he brought the two to the front of the stone pillar and said to one of the disciples, "Let them take the assessment first." Yes, Taoist. That disciple nodded and looked at Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu with surprise in his eyes. F***ck me. These two are just too good-looking. The crowd was displeased when they saw someone cutting the line, but when they saw Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu, their displeasure turned into surprise. Where did these two come from? They look extraordinary. Tisk. Looks like they get special treatment. This damned world that only cares about looks. Brother, please, the Dharma sect's disciple said. Chu Kuangren looked at the stone pillar in front of him, hesitated for a moment, and then reached out his hand. He was also curious about how many gems he could light up. When he placed his hand on the stone pillar, he felt a strange energy being released from the stone pillar and sweeping through his body. Then, the gems on the stone pillar began to light up one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just as I expected. Brother, your looks are extraordinary, so your aptitude shouldn't be too bad either. Su Tianyi looked like he had expected it. However, a look of astonishment soon appeared on his face. That was because just as he finished speaking, all 9 gems on the stone pillar lit up. 9-star aptitude. The 9 gems shone brightly, attracting everyone's attention in the plaza. Exclamations were heard one after another. F***ck me. 9-star aptitude. How many years has it been since a 9-star aptitude appeared in the Dharma sect? This is just too shocking. It's not a matter of years. Ever since the Dharma sect invented this stone pillar, no one has been able to light up all 9 gems. Oh my God! Who is this person? Chapter 89. The 9 gems on the stone pillar lit up at the same time. The never-before-seen 9-star qualification shocked everyone. Su Tianyi's jaw dropped as he stared at Chu Kuangren in shock. He had only brought Chu Kuangren here to take the test because of his extraordinary temperament. He did not expect Chu Kuangren to be so amazing. A 9-star qualification. Su Tianyi was an 8-star qualification, and he was already one of the most outstanding people in the history of the Dharma sect. How far could Chu Kuangren go with a 9-star qualification? The Dharma sect had found a treasure this time. 9-star qualification? Chu Kuangren murmured. He was not surprised by the result. If top-notch Sky Prides could achieve 7-star or 8-star qualifications, then it was not surprising for a Sky Pride like him who had defeated a young emperor to have a 9-star qualification. Just when he thought that this was his qualification, something strange happened again. The light on the stone pillar became more blinding, and the runes on the stone pillar began to flicker. Cracks began to appear on the pillar. With a loud explosion, the stone pillar shattered into pieces. What's going on? Chu Kuangren was confused. His qualification was more than 9 stars. Did the stone pillar explode because it could not be tested? Su Tianyi and the others were stunned too. What's going on? I've never encountered something like this before. Could it be that the stone pillar has been out of repair for a long time and has malfunctioned? That's possible. Many people at the scene breathed a sigh of relief. So it was a malfunction. They really thought that a 9-star genius had appeared. Brother, let's change to another stone pillar, the Dharma sect disciple said. Chu Kuangren nodded and placed his hand on another stone pillar. The 9 gems lit up just like before, and the light grew brighter and brighter. Under everyone's shocked gaze, the stone pillar cracked and turned into a pile of rubble. The crowd was speechless. Is there a problem with this pillar too? Should I change to another one? Chu Kuangren said as he walked towards the next stone pillar. Stop! Brother! Don't come any closer. The disciple in charge of the other stone pillar quickly stood in front of Chu Kuangren and yelled. What kind of joke was this? They finally understood that the stone pillar had no problem at all. The one with the problem was Chu Kuangren himself. Everyone was dumbfounded. What kind of monster was this? To think that his aptitude had exceeded the limits of the testing stone pillar. This was way stronger than the Taoists of the other great Tao orthodoxies. Fellow Taoist, there's no need for you to take the test. You've passed. Su Tianyi gulped and said. He said to the disciples next to him, you guys continue to preside over the first round of assessment. I'll take the rest to the second round. All right, senior brother. By the way, how do I address you, fellow Taoist? My surname is Chu, so it's Brother Chu. Let me tell you, the second test is to test your perception. There's a forest of steels in the Dharma sect that records thousands of techniques. Su Tianyi talked non-stop. Chu Kuangren was just about to explain when he heard that. A forest of steels that recorded thousands of cultivation methods? That was interesting. Chu Kuangren decided to check it out first. By the way, fellow Taoist, you should also test your aptitude. Su Tianyi looked at Lan Yu, who was beside Chu Kuangren. Lan Yu nodded and walked up to the stone pillar. She placed her hand on it. Instantly, the 9 gemstones shone brightly. This scene once again stunned everyone. F***ck me. Another freak. Everyone stared at the stone pillar, afraid that it would explode. Fortunately, the 9 gemstones on the stone pillar were blinding, but the stone pillar itself was unharmed. Everyone could not help but let out a sigh of relief. Then they regained their senses. That was a 9-star Taoist. And that Brother Chu. Oh my God. Where did he come from? Brother Chu, your aptitude is amazing. I'm impressed. Su Tianyi gulped. He felt that the day was a little magical. He had met 2 freakishly talented cultivators in a row. After that, Su Tianyi brought Chu Kuangren, Lan Yu, and the other cultivators who passed the first round of assessment to the Dharma sect. In a peculiar steel forest in the Dharma sect, countless stone tablets were erected on the ground, and a large number of characters were engraved on them. Each stone tablet represented a cultivation method. What a magnificent steel forest! Each stone tablet represents a cultivation method. By the heavens, only the Dharma sect could find so many methods. It's amazing. It's just too powerful. As expected of a sage orthodoxy, their heritage is too strong. Yeah. So this is the second round of assessment. Chu Kuangren was just as surprised as the others. He roughly scanned the area with his spiritual thought and found out that there were at least 8,000 stone tablets. In other words, there were at least 8,000 techniques here. Even the Black Heaven sect could not come up with so many techniques. Although the techniques here were all below the supreme technique level, it was still shocking enough. The Dharma sect's name was not in vain. The second round of assessment is for you to choose a technique in the steel forest and see results within 3 days. If you fail, you'll be eliminated, Su Tianyi said. Everyone looked at each other. Some of them were shocked. Are you kidding me? Even the most common technique would see results within 3 days? How is that possible? How can there be someone with such a high level of understanding in this world? Yeah, that's impossible. This round of assessment is too difficult. That's right. Faced with everyone's doubts, Su Tianyi sneered. There are 100,000 disciples in the Dharma sect, and every single one of them has passed this round of assessment. Among them, there were some who were talented enough to learn a few or even 10 techniques within 3 days. Don't use your incompetence as an excuse. Either you take the assessment or leave. No one is forcing you. No one was willing to leave. Even the cultivators who felt that it was too difficult only grumbled a little. Since they were already here, they should at least give it a try. Then, let the assessment begin. Su Tianyi then smiled at Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu. With your qualifications, this round shouldn't be a problem. I'll be waiting for your good news. Although it was said that aptitude was not the same as perception, generally speaking, a cultivator with good aptitude would not be too bad at perception, no matter how bad it was. After Su Tianyi left, Chu Kuangren looked at the countless stone tablets in front of him and smiled. This steel forest is a good place. He scanned the stone tablets with his spiritual thought and began to gain insights. Although these were all techniques that were not very useful to Chu Kuangren, there were many of them. Moreover, there were all kinds of them which was very helpful to Chu Kuangren's single sword technique destruction technique. Just as Chu Kuangren began to gain insights, Lan Yu was on high alert beside him to prevent him from being disturbed. Young lady, there are many techniques here. If you want to gain insights, you can go and try. We'll protect the bachelor sage. In the void, Honorable Qing Lan transmitted a message to Lan Yu. No need. Lan Yu shook her head. She had her own Tao, so gaining insights on a few techniques would not help her at all. Chapter 90. There are so many cultivation techniques here. Which one should we choose? Yeah, this is too troublesome. Sigh. This is too difficult. To achieve results in 3 days, a cultivation technique that is too advanced is not an option. We can only choose the easier ones. Then let's go with the lower tier ones. Could the results of this stage be related to the level of the cultivation method we choose? The higher the level of the cultivation method we comprehend, the better our results and vice versa. If that's the case, we'll have to be careful. No matter what, the most important thing is to act according to your capabilities. Remember, we only have 3 days. Inside the 10,000 spells steel forest, the cultivators were all in a dilemma, thinking about which cultivation method to choose to comprehend. There were too many cultivation techniques in front of them, and they included almost all kinds of common cultivation techniques in the world of cultivation. Some people looked at Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu. Their talents were too terrifying, and they left a deep impression on them. They wanted to see what cultivation technique they would choose. However, when they looked over, they were stunned. Chu Kuangren was standing there with his eyes closed, and Lan Yu was standing beside him without moving. It seemed like she had no intention of studying the stone tablets. What's going on? Don't they want to pass the test? The crowd was puzzled, but they ignored them after a glance. Now that everyone was busy with their own matters, they did not care about Chu Kuangren either. Gradually, most people had chosen the techniques they wanted to study. Only a few people were still struggling with their choices. While the crowd was choosing, Chu Kuangren was already swimming in the sea of Taoist techniques. His spiritual thoughts spread, and the various techniques recorded on the stone tablets appeared in his mind one by one. He quickly studied them and mastered them. The attribute of meditative anatta was displayed to the fullest. 10 types, 20 types, 30 types, 50 types, 100 types, 300 types, 500 types. Chu Kuangren seemed to be able to comprehend all of the techniques just by looking at them once. The entire process did not even take 10 seconds. The more he comprehended the various techniques, the deeper his understanding of them became, and the faster his comprehension speed became. Gradually, a mysterious Taoist rhyme began to emanate from Chu Kuangren's body. Among them were the 5 elements Taoist rhymes of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, as well as the 4 elements Taoist rhymes of earth, wind, water, and fire. There was an unparalleled sword Tao rhyme. It was a majestic palm technique that contained the charm of mountains and rivers. There were treacherous and ever-changing finger techniques, and there were broad-ranging saber techniques. Various types of Taoist rhymes and techniques surrounded Chu Kuangren. It was incomparably magnificent and dazzling like a Taoist feast. As the Taoist rhymes became denser, All sorts of phenomena appeared one after another. In the void, there were illusions of mountains and rivers, sword chi crisscrossing, saber light and bloody shadows, gales, torrential rain, flying snow. The appearance of the Taoist rhyme startled many of the cultivators who were in the midst of studying the stone tablets. They all looked at Chu Kuangren in shock. F***CK. What is this? What is he doing? Why are there so many Tao runes and phenomenons? Everyone's eyes were filled with shock and confusion. Meanwhile, Lan Yu, who was standing beside Chu Kuangren, let out a burst of white light as she changed into a set of gorgeous silver-white armor. Her eyes were cold as she looked around cautiously. At that moment, no matter who it was, anyone who dared to approach Chu Kuangren would suffer Lan Yu's most powerful attack. The Taoist rhymes and phenomenons that emanated from Chu Kuangren's study not only startled the cultivators in the Steel Forest but also affected half of the Dharma sect. What's going on? Why is there such a Taoist rhyme? What a heterogeneous Taoist rhyme is coming from the direction of the Steel Forest. What happened? Some of the Dharma sect's higher-ups and elders were confused as they rushed to the Steel Forest to find out what was going on. At that moment, outside the Steel Forest, Su Tianyi and a few other disciples were discussing how long the assessment would take. In my opinion, it'll take at least a day. That's right. In the previous assessments, even senior brother Su's one, it took 6 hours for anyone to achieve any results. Although it's a magical technique, without a certain level of enlightenment, an ordinary cultivator would need at least a few years to study it. Su Tianyi and the others continued to discuss. Cultivation was not only about one's innate talent but also one's level of enlightenment. If one did not have it, no matter how good one's innate talent was, it would still take 10 days or even 10 days to achieve anything. That would limit one's final achievement. Huh? There's movement inside. Suddenly, Su Tianyi's expression froze. Just when they were surprised, a majestic Taoist rhyme erupted from within the Steel Forest, followed by various transformations in the void. Oh my God! What's going on? What's happening inside? Su Tianyi and the others immediately rushed into the Steel Forest. Just as they stepped into the forest, the higher-ups and elders of the Dharma sect arrived as well. Everyone looked at Chu Kuangren under the transformations and looked at each other. Su Taoist, what's going on? One of the elders looked at Su Tianyi and asked curiously. Su Tianyi shook his head. Elder, I'm not sure either. This person is one of the disciples participating in this assessment. His qualifications are so outstanding that even the assessment pillars can't accurately measure his qualifications. The elders were even more shocked when they heard that. You're saying that he's one of the disciples participating in this assessment? At that moment, an elder walked out from behind the crowd and asked in a strange tone. Yes, that's impossible. That elder smiled and shook his head. Elder, do you know him? Yes, even if you haven't met him before, you must have heard of his name. His name is Chu Kuangren. The old man said. He had met Chu Kuangren before. When he was in the Luminous Moon's secret realm, he had also heard that Chu Kuangren was visiting the various orthodoxies one by one. Although he was surprised by Chu Kuangren's sudden appearance, he was not puzzled. Chu Kuangren. As soon as these 3 words came out, everyone present gasped. He's Chu Kuangren. Oh my God! I saw Chu Kuangren. Such a fairy-like appearance. He's exactly the same as the legendary Chu Kuangren. I can't believe it's really him. Who was the most famous person in the Azure Dragon domain? Without a doubt, it was the Black Heaven sect's elder senior brother, Chu Kuangren, declaring war on the world, killing an honorable, killing a sage, becoming the fiancé of the royal Azure dynasty, the newly appointed bachelor of the School of White Lotus, defeating the Taishu Temple Lord in a sparring session. Any one of these incidents was shocking enough, not to mention all of them were concentrated on the same person. Su Tianyi was also shocked. He's Chu Kuangren. Yes, it's him. The old man nodded with certainty. Then what's he doing now? The old man carefully observed for a while before his body trembled and a look of disbelief appeared on his face. He's learning the techniques recorded in the Steel Forest. Not just one or two techniques, but all of the techniques in this steel forest. How's that possible? As soon as the old man said that, everyone at the scene felt incredulous. How many techniques were there in the steel forest? There were at least 8,000 of them. Even the Dharma sect leader might not even know half of them, yet Chu Kuangren was learning all of them in the steel forest? This kind of thing was simply a fantasy story. No one would believe it even if they told them. Chapter 91. Elder, you must be joking with us. Su Tianyi looked at the old man in disbelief. The rest of the people looked at the old man. Although they did not say a word, their eyes revealed the same thoughts as Su Tianyi. There were at least 8,000 cultivation techniques in the steel forest. An ordinary cultivator might not even learn 1/100th of such a number of techniques in their lifetime. However, the old man was telling them that Chu Kuangren was gaining insights into all the techniques in the steel forest. How could they believe it? I know it's unbelievable, but Chu Kuangren can't be measured with common sense. This guy is too demonic. Take a closer look. The various Taoist rhymes on Chu Kuangren's body correspond to the techniques recorded in the steel forest. After the elder finished speaking, the crowd began to observe carefully. Many people's expressions changed when they saw it. This gentle Taoist rhyme is the top-tier cloud sleeve technique. Swift as the wind, calm as the mountain. This is the Black Mountain sword art. Not only that, that's the top-tier thunder palm technique. Diamond fist, demon head blade technique, 9 heavens moonlight blade technique. Oh my God, even these top-tier Taoist rhymes are contained within. There are too many. There are so many Taoist rhymes. I can't even look at them all. But every single one of them can be found in the steel forest. This is unbelievable. How did he do it? The Dharma sect's cultivators were all shocked. The scene before them was like a dream. How could anyone in this world gain insights into so many techniques? On the same day too. 4,613 Taoist rhymes. No, it's 4,614 now. The Taoist rhymes on his body are constantly increasing. This means he's still gaining insights into the techniques recorded in the steel forest. Some of the Dharma sect's strong cultivators carefully counted the Taoist rhymes that emanated from Chu Kuangren's body. However, just as they finished counting, another or even more Taoist rhymes appeared on Chu Kuangren's body in the next second. The speed at which he was gaining insights was too terrifying. No one would believe it if they did not see it with their own eyes. It's not as simple as just gaining insights. Judging from the level of Taoist rhymes, I'm afraid he has completely mastered them. One of the elders said with a trembling voice, "This is impossible. This is impossible. I've come to this steel forest to comprehend for at least 16 hours every single day, day and night, rain or shine, yet I've only grasped less than 100 profound techniques now. He'll be able to comprehend all 8,000 techniques in this steel forest in a single day? This is impossible, impossible." When some young cultivators saw this scene, their Tao hearts suffered an unprecedented impact, and their expressions started to become deranged as they fell into a trance. Some of them even wanted to rush out and question Chu Kuangren on the spot. Why was it that their 1,000 years of cultivation could not compare to Chu Kuangren's 1 day of Taoist enlightenment? Why? Lan Yu took a step forward with a cold look in her eyes. Her Taoist rhymes circulated around her body and she activated her spiritual power. She was ready to attack at any moment. However, the elders of the Dharma sect were faster. They grabbed these young cultivators and threw them out of the steel forest. Alas, even I feel that my cultivation is futile when I see this scene, let alone these youngsters. One of the elders sighed. Don't let them get close to the steel forest. Let them go out and calm down. Otherwise, their Tao hearts will collapse and their cultivation will be destroyed. All right, don't let anyone near Chu Kuangren, an elder said as he glanced at the void. They knew that even without them, Chu Kuangren's protectors who were hiding in the dark would not let anyone near. However, knowing was one thing, but doing it was another matter. Even if it was just for show, it would still be good to express their goodwill. This person is indeed talented. A sigh came from the void. An old man with white hair and brows in a gray robe walked into the steel forest. When they saw him, everyone immediately bowed. Greetings, sect master. This person was the Dharma sect master. All right, let's wait and see. The Dharma sect master nodded slightly, his eyes never leaving Chu Kuangren. As time passed, various transformations appeared in the steel forest, and Chu Kuangren's Taoist rhymes were still increasing rapidly. The meditational clarity attribute was too powerful. He could even quickly gain insights into a sage ruler technique like the white lotus light of purification, let alone the techniques in the steel forest that were not even comparable to supreme techniques. Although the amount was huge, it was very easy for Chu Kuangren to gain insights. 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,136. Soon, Chu Kuangren's Taoist rhymes had reached 8,136, which meant that Chu Kuangren had learned all 8,136 techniques in the steel forest. This kind of action could be said to be unprecedented. He has really learned all the techniques. One of the Dharma sect's higher-ups gulped as his Taoist core trembled violently. The other cultivators were also shocked speechless. It was too terrifying, too terrifying. Even if they had heard all sorts of rumors about Chu Kuangren, they were, after all, just rumors. The level of shock they received was far less than what was happening right in front of them right now. In one day, no, in half a day, he had learned all 8,000 techniques in the steel forest. Was this something that a human could do? If someone were to say that Chu Kuangren was an emperor now, people would probably believe it. Perhaps only the emperors from the ancient legends had this ability. Just when Chu Kuangren had finished learning all the techniques in the steel forest, the Taoist rhymes and transformations that filled the void quickly dispersed like a tide. Chu Kuangren's body emitted a boundless brilliance, and there seemed to be runes circulating on the surface of his body. It was extremely mysterious. Transcendent coalescence Taoist physique. One of the elders suddenly exclaimed in surprise. The others were shocked too. The Transcendent Coalescence Taoist physique was a very ancient supreme Taoist physique, and it was ranked among the top 3,000 physiques. Even the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart was slightly inferior to it. Legend had it that the possessor of this supreme Taoist physique could use his own body as a furnace to smelt all techniques. It was extremely terrifying. No, it's not the real Transcendent Coalescence Taoist physique, but it already has some Taoist rhymes. Perhaps if he continues to learn like this, he can really acquire this supreme Taoist physique. The Dharma sect master exclaimed. The Taoist physique was innate, but some could also be acquired through cultivation. However, it was too difficult and only a few people in history had managed to do it. What more a supreme Taoist physique? However, looking at Chu Kuangren, the cultivators at the scene suddenly had a ridiculous thought. Perhaps he could really do it. The boundless divine light and the runes converged, and Chu Kuangren once again returned to his jade-like appearance. He opened his eyes, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. This time, learning all 8,000 techniques in the steel forest had helped him a lot. He had taken another big step on the path of the single sword technique to break all techniques. Now I just need to find time to integrate what I learned today into the heaven-slaying sword drawing technique and perfect it again, Chu Kuangren murmured. He only cultivated one sword technique, but it could break all techniques. And the heaven-slaying sword drawing technique was this sword technique that he cultivated. Collecting his thoughts, Chu Kuangren looked at the Dharma sect master and the others, slowly walked forward, and bowed. My name is Chu Kuangren, and I'm here to visit the Dharma sect. Please forgive me if I've offended you. Everyone looked at Chu Kuangren with incomparably complicated gazes. Chapter 92. Junior Chu. Your presence brings light to the Dharma sect. The Dharma sect's sect master smiled. As long as you don't mind my nagging. Hey, it's not convenient to talk here. Junior, please follow me. The Dharma sect's sect master led Chu Kuangren out of the steel forest. Outside the steel forest, the Dharma sect's disciples who had been beaten black and blue looked at Chu Kuangren with complicated gazes. There was shock, reluctance, jealousy, and admiration. Comprehending the 8,000 methods of the steel forest in half a day, To them, such a feat was like a myth. What was Chu Kuangren, who had achieved such a feat? A deity? No matter what he was someone they could never hope to achieve. Brother Chu, you've kept me in the dark for so long. Su Tianyi looked at Chu Kuangren and said with a bitter smile. He initially thought that he had found a peerless genius for the Dharma sect, but he did not expect things to turn out this way. It's my fault for not informing you in advance. My apologies. Chu Kuangren smiled. He did not reveal his identity because he wanted to visit the Steel Forest. Come to think of it, it's my fault for being slow-witted. Brother Chu, with your demeanor, you're not an ordinary person. It doesn't take much to figure it out. Su Tianyi shook his head and did not complain. The few of them arrived at the Dharma sect's palace. Chu Kuangren did not beat around the bush and immediately stated his intention. He wanted to spar with the Dharma sect to verify his knowledge. I heard that even the head of the Taishu temple lost to little friend Chu in terms of Tao. This makes me very curious. Since little friend Chu wants to find someone to sit and spar with, then let me do it. The sect leader of the 10,000 Dharma sect smiled. The few elders in the palace hesitated for a moment but did not refute. They could not think of any reason to do so. You say that Chu Kuangren is a junior, and the Dharma sect's sect master is an honorable supreme. Sparring with him is unfair and unreasonable? Stop joking. Comprehending the 8,000 methods of the Steel Forest in half a day, who would dare to treat him as an ordinary junior? Moreover, even the Taishu Temple Lord had lost, so it was not unusual for the Dharma sect's sect master to spar with him. News of Chu Kuangren sparring with the Dharma sect's sect master spread throughout the sect. Many cultivators were talking about it, looking forward to it. The next day, after a round of incense and bathing, the sect master and Chu Kuangren stood on a high platform and began their sparring session under the gaze of countless disciples. Please. The Dharma sect master smiled. Chu Kuangren did not bother with pleasantries. Even though he had comprehended all 8,000 methods in the Steel Forest, he was still using the sword Tao that he had already perfected. The sword of the heavenly path appeared, and the Taoist rhyme of the sword filled the air. The sword light flashed, heading towards the 10,000 Law sect master. As the supreme of the Azure Dragon domain and the leader of the Dharma sect master had a deep understanding of the Tao. He was surrounded by Taoist rhymes, and all kinds of mysterious techniques were at his fingertips. With no difficulty at all, he blocked the sword light with a flick of his sleeve. This move made everyone present gasp in admiration. As expected of the sect leader, his Tao techniques are indeed incomparably exquisite. Too strong. Is this the Taoist magic of an honorable supreme? So powerful. Countless disciples exclaimed in admiration. However, some of the higher-ups and elders looked extremely solemn. Only they could tell that the Dharma sect master's flick of his sleeve looked simple, but in fact, he had used no less than 10 different cultivation techniques. So strong. This Chu Kuangren's Tao techniques and cultivation level are so terrifying. Just the first strike alone was enough to make the sect leader go all out. His understanding of the sword Tao and sword techniques is no less than honorable Shen Qi's. Chu Kuangren is amazing. The few elders looked at each other and saw the seriousness in each other's eyes. Then they looked at the high platform without blinking. Junior Chu's Tao techniques are so profound that I'm impressed, the Dharma sect master said calmly. He was already fully focused. Then, the two of them continued to spar on the high platform. One of them could easily summon a myriad of techniques with a wave of his hand. Gorgeous Taoist rhymes circulated around his body, which was incomparably gorgeous and ever-changing. On the other hand, the other only had a single sword. It was an extremely simple sword that turned complicated into simple, but it had a boundless sharpness and unparalleled offensive power. Just one sword could break a myriad of techniques. Whether it was the Dharma Honorable or Chu Kuangren, their Tao techniques and cultivation levels could be said to be the best in the world. The cultivators below the high platform were mesmerized by the two sparring. Some of them even took the opportunity to verify their own Tao techniques. As time passed, the sun set and the moon rose. The sparring lasted for a full day and night. Chu Kuangren could defeat the Taishu Temple Lord in terms of Dao techniques, and now that he had gained insights into the Steel Forest's 8,000 methods, his Dao techniques and cultivation level had improved significantly. The Dharma Sect Master was slightly stronger than the Taishu Temple Lord in terms of Dao techniques, but he still lost to Chu Kuangren in the end. As the sun rose, the golden rays of the morning sun shone on the high platform and onto Chu Kuangren's body. It was as if a layer of golden gauze had been draped over him, accentuating his ethereal aura to the fullest. "Senior, thank you for letting me win," Chu Kuangren said. The Dharma Sect Master looked at him and was silent for a while before he laughed. "Chu Kuangren, you're invincible below the sages in terms of Dao techniques. I admit defeat. Invincible below the sages." The Dharma Sect's cultivators narrowed their eyes and stared at Chu Kuangren. They did not expect him to reach such a level. "A sage, huh?" Chu Kuangren murmured before he chuckled. "It won't be long before I find a sage to spar with." Indeed, Chu Kuangren had the meditational clarity attribute, which allowed him to quickly gain insights into various cultivation techniques. With this cheat, his Dao techniques and cultivation level would definitely improve at an unimaginable speed. Even if it was a sage, it would not be long before he could spar with him. No, it was not just a spar, he wanted to win. Chu Kuangren's words made the crowd feel incredulous. They looked at Chu Kuangren, not knowing what to say. Spar with a sage? Even an honorable supreme would not dare to dream of such a thing. Putting aside the question of where Chu Kuangren could find a sage, the gap between a sage and an honorable supreme was just too huge. Their understanding of Dao techniques was far above that of an honorable supreme. Many years ago, an honorable supreme once sparred with a sage, but unfortunately, that honorable supreme did not even last for half an hour. Moreover, that was when the sage went easy on him. "Chu Kuangren, you're being a little too arrogant. The gap between an honorable and a sage is unimaginable." "You're right. In the end, he's still too young and arrogant. Does he really think he can defeat a sage just because he can defeat an honorable supreme? That's just too naive." "Exactly. How many sages are there in this world? Which one of them isn't a supreme who hides behind the orthodoxies? It's not that easy to meet them, let alone spar with them." Some people whispered to each other. The Dharma Sect Master smiled at Chu Kuangren. "Kuangren, you live up to your name. But it's all right. It's normal for a young man to be arrogant. Besides, a cultivator should have this kind of ambition. As the saying went, a cultivator who did not want to be a sage was not a good cultivator." Every cultivator in this world had the same idea as Chu Kuangren. Unfortunately, most of them did not dare to say it out loud. But Chu Kuangren did. Chapter 93. "Master, I have a request," Chu Kuangren suddenly said after the discussion. "Oh, please speak," the sect master said. The Dharma sect is the orthodoxy with the most cultivation techniques in the Azure Dragon domain. The Steel Forest's 8,000 techniques are just some techniques. I believe the Dharma sect still has many supreme techniques and sage techniques that I'd like to take a look at. Chu Kuangren smiled. The Steel Forest's 8,000 techniques were only used to test disciples. How could the Dharma sect's true heritage be taken out for everyone to see? As soon as Chu Kuangren said that, the expressions of the few elders at the scene instantly turned grim. They looked at Chu Kuangren with hostility. "Junior Chu, please don't be too presumptuous." "That's right. Supreme techniques and sage techniques are the foundation of an orthodoxy. How can they be taken out for everyone to see?" "Humph, that's right. This request is too much." The smile on the Dharma sect master's face disappeared. However, he believed that Chu Kuangren would not make such a request without a reason. "Junior Chu, what do you want in exchange?" "Hey, you're wise, master." Chu Kuangren smiled. Then, a majestic Taoist rhyme emanated from his body and formed an ancient godly mountain in the void. That Taoist rhyme amazed everyone. What a strong Taoist rhyme. What a mysterious technique. This is a sage ruler technique. This is definitely a sage ruler technique. There are only a few sage ruler techniques in the firmament star. Why have I never heard of this before? Sage ruler techniques were too rare. In this era where emperor techniques were almost extinct, sage ruler techniques were the most advanced techniques. There were only a handful of them in the entire firmament star. What do you think of this technique, master? Chu Kuangren asked. Very good, very good. The Dharma sect master could not help but breathe a little heavier. Chu Kuangren continued. This technique is called the human mountain stamp. As long as the Dharma sect opens up all of their cultivation techniques to me, I will give you this technique. At that moment, everyone looked at each other hesitantly. One was all of their sect's techniques, while the other was a never-before-seen sage ruler technique. This kind of deal made everyone feel conflicted. This matter is of great importance. We must discuss it, the Dharma sect master said. Of course. Chu Kuangren retracted his Taoist rhyme. While the Dharma sect master and the others were discussing, Chu Kuangren was leisurely strolling around with Lan Yu, as if they were on a sightseeing trip. Little fella, isn't it too much of a loss to use a saint ruler technique to exchange for it? The seventh forefather's voice came from the void. Although the sage ruler technique is precious, the many techniques collected by the Dharma sect are of great help to me in perfecting my Tao techniques. It's not a loss. Moreover, even if I give them the sage ruler technique, they will still need to have the ability to comprehend it first. By the time they have grasped this technique, I will have already left them far behind. Chu Kuangren chuckled. His words were filled with confidence. Sage ruler techniques were indeed precious, but there were still a few of them in the entire firmament star. Many people had tried to learn them, but how many of them had mastered them? Not everyone was Chu Kuangren's match. After about half a day, the sect master of the Dharma sect found Chu Kuangren and agreed to trade with him. However, he had a condition. The Dharma sect can open up all of their cultivation techniques to Chu Li, but only for one day. The Dharma sect leader said. The reason for this condition was that they were too afraid of Chu Kuangren's terrifying power of understanding. The scene of him comprehending all 8,000 techniques in half a day was still vivid in their minds. If he were to learn all of the Dharma sect's supreme techniques and sage techniques, then they would no longer have any secrets in front of Chu Kuangren. That was why they had to limit his time. Supreme techniques were not mystical techniques. No matter how insane Chu Kuangren's power of understanding was, he would not be able to learn all of them in just one day, right? Dharma sect leader, is this how you show your sincerity? The seventh forefather walked out from the void with a frown and dissatisfaction. Supreme techniques were 1,000 times more mysterious than mystical techniques. No matter how strong Chu Kuangren's power of understanding was, how many could he learn in a day? Did he want to trade for a sage ruler technique just like that? Seventh forefather, it's fine. Chu Kuangren waved his hand and smiled. Then we shall do as you say. One day. Seeing the confident smile on Chu Kuangren's face, the Dharma sect leader was a little uncertain. Did they underestimate Chu Kuangren's power of understanding? Then please follow me. The Dharma sect leader found a Taoist stele. Chu Kuangren imprinted the human mountain stamp on it and then entered a scripture library. This was where the Dharma sect's true heritage was hidden. Chu Kuangren scanned it with his spiritual thought and found that there were 74 supreme techniques and 4 sage techniques, including the 5 ways for divine beasts and so on. The 8,000 techniques in the steel forest were not even 1/10 of these techniques. Now they were placed in front of Chu Kuangren, allowing him to learn freely. One day is enough. Chu Kuangren smiled. To other cultivators, even geniuses might not be able to learn 1/10 of a supreme technique in a day. But to Chu Kuangren, it was not a problem at all. The Dharma sect leader and the others had underestimated him. Chu Kuangren took out a golden card. It was the Golden Tao Enlightenment card that he had gotten 2 days ago. He had gotten it once before, and when he used it, he immediately created the Sage Ruler technique, Heaven-Slaying Sword Drawing technique. This time, he wanted to use it together with the Meditational Clarity art. After crushing the card, Chu Kuangren entered a mysterious state of enlightenment. At the same time, the Meditational Clarity art was activated. Outside the scripture library, the Dharma sect leader and a group of high-level elders were watching. It had been 20 hours since Chu Kuangren entered the scripture library. There were only 4 hours left until the day's time limit. Let Chu Kuangren out immediately when the time is up. His comprehension is too terrifying. I dare not let him stay for even a second longer. One of the elders said in a serious tone. Yes, if all of our Dharma sect's techniques are mastered by him, then we will have no secrets in front of him. This is a cultivation taboo. Although it's a little unkind to do this matter concerns the foundation of the Dharma sect. It's not a big deal to be shameless. Just as the elders were discussing, a terrifying Taoist rhyme suddenly soared into the sky from the scripture depository and swept in all directions. The entire Dharma sect shook violently. In the void, the Taoist rhyme manifested and turned into a white-robed figure holding a sword. Upon closer inspection, the figure looked very similar to Chu Kuangren. While the Dharma sect leader and the others were shocked, the figure raised the sword in his hand and swung it at the void. In an instant, rays of light bloomed. There was a violent gust of wind that shook the earth, rivers that filled the sky, and flames that burned the heavens and earth. That's the 4 mystical technique. He's able to perform the 4 mystical combined attack by himself. Wait, look. In the sky, the white-robed figure wielded the sword continuously. Every swing of the sword would manifest a Taoist rhyme that represented a technique. In a few breaths, the 74 techniques in the scripture library, and even 4 types of sage techniques, were all performed under the swing of the sword. This scene greatly shocked the Dharma sect leader and the others. How is this possible? 10,000 techniques with one sword. Chapter 94. In the sky, Chu Kuangren's Taoist rhyme condensed into a long sword. Every swing of his sword was a mysterious technique. He had mastered the 74 supreme techniques and 4 sage techniques in the Dharma sect. His proficiency was no weaker than the Dharma sect masters. This was completely beyond everyone's imagination. How can his level of enlightenment be this terrifying? He's inhuman. This is terrifying. The Dharma sect master and the others were dumbfounded. One day, just one day, they thought that it would be an incredible feat for Chu Kuangren to be able to gain insight into 10 supreme techniques in just one day. Considering Chu Kuangren's previous achievement of learning 8,000 techniques in half a day, they thought he could learn about 30. After all, supreme techniques were much more mysterious than mystical techniques. However, they still underestimated Chu Kuangren. Far too underestimated. In the void, Chu Kuangren's illusion waved his sword and practiced the 10,000 techniques. After that, he stood in midair with his eyes closed. However, the majestic Taoist rhyme on his body increased, and the countless Taoist rhymes gradually condensed into one. It was an extremely terrifying and offensive sword-based Taoist rhyme. Chu Kuangren's illusion moved again. Just when all of the Taoist rhymes had converged into one, Chu Kuangren made his move. With a swing of his sword, a dazzling purple sword ray tore through the clouds and tore a huge hole in the cloud layer. What a terrifying Taoist rhyme. One sword to break all things. Has he already mastered it? The Dharma sect master and the others looked at each other. At that moment, the illusion in the sky dissipated, and the Taoist rhyme receded like the tide. The scripture library's door creaked open. Chu Kuangren, who was dressed in a white robe, slowly walked out. Everyone could vaguely see mysterious runes circulating on his body. His transcendent coalescence Taoist physique has improved. The Dharma sect master's pupils shrank when he saw that. Now, he had reason to believe that Chu Kuangren had a high chance of forming the transcendent coalescence Taoist physique through his acquired enlightenment. Thank you, Senior. I've been bothering you for the past 2 days, so I should take my leave now. Chu Kuangren smiled. He was very satisfied with his trip to the Dharma sect. His one-sword technique had made great progress. The heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique was one step closer to becoming an emperor technique. Compared to the white lotus light of purification and the Tao Tai technique, it was even stronger. Upon hearing Chu Kuangren's words, the Dharma sect master and the others felt rather upset. Chu Kuangren had only been in the Dharma sect for 2 days, but he had already learned all of the Dharma sect's techniques. On the other hand, They could not compare to a day's worth of effort even after cultivating bitterly for most of their lives. This kind of disparity was really too big. Little friend Chu, take care. I won't send you off. The Dharma headmaster smiled, but it was a forced smile. It was obvious that he was just as shocked as everyone else. All right, until we meet again. Chu Kuangren bowed slightly before he turned around and walked down the mountain with Lan Yu. Wherever he went, tens of thousands of Dharma sect disciples would look at him with complicated gazes. There was grief, admiration, and fanaticism, however. Not many people would be jealous of him, because the gap between them was too great. It was so great that they weren't existences in the same world, and it was even so great that no one could be jealous of them. An era of great competition? That's just a joke. In an era of great competition, the stars will shine brightly, but this person is like a blazing sun in the sky. Who would be able to see the dimmed stars? Amongst the crowd, Taoist Yuan Hong let out a bitter laugh. Beside him, Su Tianyi and the others were also dejected and helpless. Ever since Chu Kuangren began to visit the various sage orthodoxies, many people had been paying close attention to his every move. Could not be helped, he was just too eye-catching. After a trip to the Royal Azure Dynasty, he became someone's son-in-law. After a trip to the School of White Lotus, he became a bachelor sage. After a trip to the Taishu Temple, he defeated an honorable supreme in a mental spar. Now, every cultivator in the Azure Dragon domain was guessing what kind of commotion Chu Kuangren would cause when he visited the other orthodoxies. Some of them had long become numb to Chu Kuangren's continuous actions. They felt that no matter what Chu Kuangren was going to do this time, they would be able to remain indifferent to it. However, when news of what happened in the Dharma sect spread, those cultivators who thought they could remain calm were also shocked. Comprehending the Steel Forest's 8,000 methods in half a day. You're telling me that this is something that a human can do? Even if the Steel Forest's 8,000 methods are all miraculous, it would still take him a few years to comprehend 10 of them in a day, right? 8,000 methods in half a day? Are you telling me a fairy tale? Impossible. When the news spread, most people's first reaction was disbelief. However, there were too many cultivators at the Steel Forest that day, and many of them had seen it with their own eyes. Coupled with the fact that various parties had verified it, it was soon confirmed. That was not all that was confirmed. Some people said that Chu Kuangren had won the mental spar with the Dharma sect master. Some even said that Chu Kuangren had spent less than a day to completely master all the Dharma sect's cultivation techniques. When the rumor was confirmed, everyone was shocked. Why was the Dharma sect called that? It was because they had too many cultivation techniques, and they covered a wide variety of them, covering 99% of the Daos in the world. Even the previous Dharma sect masters did not dare to say that they could master all of them, yet Chu Kuangren had learned them all in 2 days? How could anyone not believe it? How could they not be shocked? Chu Kuangren. Why didn't he ascend to the heavens? F***ck me. F***ck me. How can someone like this exist? Is he really an immortal who descended from the heavens? Otherwise, how could he be so terrifying? You don't say it's possible. I've been working hard for decades and only managed to learn one supreme technique, yet he managed to learn 8,000 in half a day. Is he trying to kill me? Scary. This is too scary. Oh my God. This guy is definitely a monster. The entire Azure Dragon domain fell into a state of shock. This shock affected the entire firmament star, and the whole world was shocked. No matter how many people believed it, there would always be people who doubted it. Learning 8,000 techniques in half a day. Only an emperor could do that. Chu Kuangren. He's still far from that. The new Taoist of the sacred lands of serene wisdom, Ao Chong, expressed his doubts. The Dharma sect is a sage orthodoxy. You're saying that you can learn all of their techniques in 2 days? Are you kidding me? Even if this is true, learning a technique doesn't mean you can use it. Learning so many techniques in one go will only add more shackles to your cultivation. Lin Batian from the Jiang Valley also spoke after Ao Chong. What he said was also supported by some people. Learning more techniques was not always better. There were many things to pay attention to, and learning too many would only make things complicated. Learning everything would only mean that one was not proficient in anything. A truly powerful cultivator usually only specialized in a few techniques. The Taoists from the sacred lands of serene wisdom and the Jiang Valley also voiced their doubts. Naturally, the Black Heaven sect behind Chu Kuangren would not sit idly by. Learning everything in one go. What a joke. Try learning 8,000 techniques in one go. Some people are really funny when they say that the grapes are sour when they can't eat it. Nangong Huang from the Black Heaven sect retorted, "That's right. I've never heard of that newly appointed Taoist from the sacred lands of serene wisdom. How dare he come out and criticize our bachelor sage?" The people from the school of White Lotus also voiced their support. "Anyone who defames my husband is an enemy of the Royal Azure Dynasty." Princess Linglong from the Royal Azure Dynasty also spoke out publicly. Chapter 95. As soon as Chu Kuangren's support group spoke, the entire Azure Dragon domain no longer had any doubts. No one wanted to go against the three great sage orthodoxies, not even the sacred lands of serene wisdom or Jiang Valley. A few days after Chu Kuangren left the Dharma sect, another piece of news shook the Azure Dragon domain. Northern Lingdao's honorable orthodoxy, the Mountain River sect, had been destroyed. The supreme demon sect that wreaked havoc in the Azure Dragon domain 5,000 years ago had made a comeback. With that, a few sage orthodoxies could no longer sit still. The supreme demon sect was founded by a self-proclaimed supreme demon honorable 5,000 years ago. Ever since it was founded, it had risen rapidly. However, due to its members being too bloodthirsty, it was destroyed by the alliance of several orthodoxies. Now that the sect had made a comeback, many people were reminded of the bloody days of the past, and they could not help but worry. The supreme demon sect was too terrifying back then. Every single one of its members cultivated demonic Taoism. They did not cultivate merit or karma, and their methods were bloody and cruel. God knows how many lives were harmed by them. Yeah, it still hurts to think about it now. But isn't the supreme demon honorable dead? Most of the people from the sect died in battle too. Why would the sect make a comeback? I heard that someone saw the supreme demon honorable reappear. Impossible. It's true. Rumor has it that someone saw a young man in northern Lingdao who looked very similar to the supreme demon honorable. He also used the supreme heavenly demonic great technique. The entire Azure Dragon domain was in a heated discussion, and the orthodoxies began to move as well. They each sent people to northern Lingdao to investigate. 2 days later, the orthodoxies announced that they would begin a demonic extermination operation. They each sent people into northern Lingdao to eliminate the cultivators of the demonic sect. All of a sudden, the northern Lingdao state was in chaos. Chu Kuangren had also received a message from Honorable Xian Qi, asking him to head to northern Lingdao as soon as possible to participate in the demonic extermination operation. Chu Kuangren did not reject the request and headed to northern Lingdao. Seventh forefather, was the supreme demon sect very strong back then? Chu Kuangren asked curiously on the ferry boat. He had flipped through some ancient books and seen records about the limitless demon sect. Every line of the book had exaggerated the terror of the limitless demon sect. Actually, it's not that strong. The seventh forefather's answer surprised Chu Kuangren. Not powerful? In that case, why did the Holy Lands join forces to deal with the limitless demon sect? Also, according to the records, the sage orthodoxies joined forces to fight against the limitless demon sect for 3 days and 3 nights, resulting in countless casualties. Heh! The seventh forefather suddenly chuckled. The devil sect is slightly weaker than the saint orthodoxy. It's just that they caused a bigger commotion back then. As for the saint orthodoxy joining forces, that's true, but it's just to increase their prestige. What? To increase my prestige? Yes, the methods of the limitless demon sect were indeed cruel. They caused the wrath of the heavens and the people and plunged the people into misery and suffering. If the sage orthodoxies took action to eliminate the demonic calamity, they would be able to win over the hearts of the people and increase their prestige, allowing their orthodoxy's luck to flourish. Therefore, None of the sage orthodoxies were willing to let go of this opportunity. As for the ancient records, the history books are written by the victors. The more terrifying the limitless demon sect is described, the more powerful the orthodoxies are, and the more prestige they have, right? The seventh forefather's words stunned Chu Kuangren. You can play this way? So the limitless demon sect was just a tool used by the sage orthodoxies to increase their reputation and prestige? He thought they were powerful. In other words, this demonic extermination mission is also a method used by the sage orthodoxies to increase their prestige, Chu Kuangren said. It's true that they want to increase their prestige, and so is the demonic extermination mission. At the same time, it's also a chance for the disciples of the sage orthodoxies to gain experience, the seventh forefather said. The northern Lingdao state was currently in a state of chaos. Due to the rumor of the reappearance of the supreme demonic honorable, the demonic cultivators who were lucky enough to escape the calamity and a large number of other demonic cultivators all came out to wreak havoc. These cultivators' methods were extremely cruel. They either consumed the flesh and blood of mortals to strengthen their cultivation, captured humans to feed their demonic beasts, or used human souls to refine demonic weapons. Some of them even simply loved killing and chaos. All in all, it was not an exaggeration to say that the northern Lingdao state was a living hell. The entire state was filled with mortals, and their lives were as worthless as grass. Cries could be heard everywhere in a town. A few demonic cultivators were commanding their demonic beasts to wreak havoc everywhere. Roar! One of the demonic beasts opened its mouth wide and bit a mortal. The mortal did not even have time to scream before he was bitten in half. His intestines and organs spilled all over the ground. Not far away, a child was crying his heart out. The demonic cultivators were laughing maniacally. Haha, without those guys from the Mountain River sect, we can do whatever we want in the northern Lingdao state now. One of the demonic cultivators laughed as he sat on a demonic beast. The Mountain River sect used to be the orthodoxy that governed the northern Lingdao state. However, they were annihilated a few days ago. Rumor had it that it was done by the supreme demonic honorable himself. That was why these demonic cultivators dared to act so brazenly. To be honest, I don't have any feelings for the supreme demonic honorable. However, since he destroyed the Mountain River sect and gave us a piece of paradise, I'm willing to serve him as my master. A cultivator who had just joined the demonic path said. The others also nodded in agreement. Look, this beautiful wail is simply the most magnificent music in the world. Cry, scream, and please us as much as you want. That's the only reason for you mortals to exist. The demonic cultivator who was riding on the demonic beast laughed heartily. Buzz! Suddenly, a sword ray came from afar. A terrifying Taoist rhyme locked onto the demonic cultivator and the demonic beast he was riding. The sword ray was extremely sharp. A mist of blood exploded and the demonic beast and the demonic cultivator were torn apart in the blink of an eye. Who's there? Damn it! Show yourself. The remaining demonic cultivators were shocked. They looked towards the end of the sword ray and saw a young man in a white robe walking towards them from the end of the street. The young man was dressed in a white robe with wide sleeves. He was spotless and had an otherworldly aura. However, his expression was as cold as ice. Immortal, please save us. Immortal, please have mercy on us. The people who were crying on the street looked at the young man with hope in their eyes. They immediately knelt on the ground and kowtowed for help. When the demonic cultivators saw this, their faces turned vicious and they commanded their demonic beasts to charge at the young man. Go to hell. Tear him to shreds. The demonic beast's aura was terrifying. Every step it took caused the ground to tremble. Compared to the demonic beast's mountain-like body, the young man's thin and frail figure was too insignificant. However, the young man's expression did not change at all. He continued to walk towards the demonic cultivators and shot out several purple sword rays from his body, easily killing the demonic beasts. Oh no, he's definitely a nascent soul cultivator. Run. We're no match for him. The demonic cultivators tried to escape without saying a word. However, as soon as they moved, they realized that they were frozen in the air and could not move at all. Chapter 96. The few demonic cultivators were immobilized in the void. The spatial force that only a Paradise Realm cultivator could master was not something that these Golden Core Realm cultivators could break free from. They were all terrified. Without saying a word, Chu Kuangren raised his hand and unleashed the gluttonous devouring technique. In an instant, the few of them were sucked into the avarice dimension, enduring the extreme pain of having their flesh and blood refined. Their screams echoed continuously. Whoosh, Lan Yu flapped her wings from afar, her body still emitting a cold, murderous aura. Master, the others have been dealt with. All right, let's go. Chu Kuangren nodded. Thank you, Immortal. Thank you. Behind him, countless people's voices of gratitude could be heard. Chu Kuangren did not look back. Ever since he stepped into the northern Lingdao state, he had seen or experienced too many similar scenes. After leaving the village, Chu Kuangren continued to walk towards the center of the northern Lingdao state where the sky prides of the major sage orthodoxies were gathered. However, what Chu Kuangren found strange was, along the way, what he saw were mostly mortals wailing and the scenes of demonic cultivators running wild. As for the sage orthodoxies saving the world, it was very rare. Did they not agree to launch a demonic extermination operation? Did they not say that the major sage orthodoxies would send their people here? Where were they? Where the hell did they go? Chu Kuangren did not ask the seventh forefather or the other protectors because he already had some guesses in his mind. In a city of the northern Lingdao state, a group of demonic cultivators was wantonly plundering, killing, and looting resources. The streets were filled with wails and cries. For a single spirit stone, there were demonic path cultivators that killed a peddler's entire family. For the sake of venting their bestial desires, they would forcefully abduct women. For the sake of refining a demonic artifact, they would extract the souls of mortals and torture them to death. One city, one hell. Meanwhile, Nangong Huang was leading a group of people to defend against this group of people. With a swing of the sacred sword, Taoist rhymes filled the air, and a sword ray like a waterfall streaked across the void, instantly tearing a demonic cultivator in half. No, there are too many of them. Nangong Huang's expression was grim. There were too many demonic cultivators, and they were not enough. Damn it, those orthodoxies aren't sending anyone. How are we enough? Murong Xian came to Nangong Huang's side and said, Damn it, even if the people from the Limitless Demon Sect are still alive, it is impossible for them to develop so many people under the suppression of several great orthodoxies. This is not just the Limitless Demon Sect, there are also cultivators from other demonic sects. The Limitless Demon Venerable's treasure is truly tempting. At this moment, suddenly, a large amount of sword chi condensed in the sky, forming 12 sword chi pillars. Runes revolved around them, actually sealing off the entire city. What kind of power is this? Who is it? In the face of this power, all the cultivators there felt a terrifying and boundless pressure bearing down on them. Some of the demonic cultivators were even more horrified. Nangong Huang and Murong Xian looked at each other, their eyes filled with joy. 9 Heaven Sword Prison, this is eldest senior brother. Great, eldest senior brother is here. A white-robed figure stepped out from the clouds. He looked coldly at the demonic cultivators stirring up trouble in the city and shouted, Die! In the blink of an eye, countless sword chi crisscrossed through the 9 Heaven Sword Prison and accurately pinpointed those demonic cultivators, killing them one by one. The demonic cultivators who were originally excited and immersed in the joy of killing felt the fear of death and screamed out loud. No. D***, who the hell is he? Boom! A hunchbacked old man broke free from the 9 Heaven Sword Prison's suppression, channeled his spiritual power, and charged towards Chu Kuangren who was in the air. Go to hell. He blasted out a palm attack that turned into a horrifying giant black hand. That was a full-powered attack from a peak battle monarch. At the end of the street, a black-haired man also broke free from the sword prison's suppression. He waved a large sword and slashed out a sword chi. This is a sword physique transformation. If we don't kill this person, we won't be able to leave. Wretched whale technique. Go. On the other side, a white-haired old woman laughed sinisterly and channeled her spiritual power. A black mist rolled in front of her, forming a giant skull that attacked Chu Kuangren, who was in the air. 3 peak battle monarch energies instantly locked onto Chu Kuangren. In the city, the demonic cultivators were extremely excited. It's the Ghost Granny, the Blood-Devouring Blade, and the Een Mountain Elder. These 3 are famous cultivators in the demonic orthodoxy. That's great. They'll definitely be able to kill this guy. That's right, we're saved. A brat like him won't be able to stop us. In mid-air, Chu Kuangren's expression was incomparably cold in the face of the 3 great demonic orthodoxies' encirclement. However, an extremely mysterious Taoist rhyme suddenly emanated from his body and formed white lotuses in the void. The white lotuses surrounded the void, making Chu Kuangren look even more holy. When the 3 energies landed on the white lotuses, there was no earth-shattering explosion. Instead, the violent energies were disintegrated and dispersed by the white lotus light of purification. In the void, it dissipated like a spring breeze. Even an honorable could not break through the white lotus light of purification's defense, let alone these battle monarch demonic cultivators. How is this possible? How did he do it? What technique is this? The 3 demonic cultivators' pupils shrank. No, run. The black-haired man knew that he and the others were no match for Chu Kuangren, so he immediately turned around and fled. However, he had nowhere to run in the 9-heaven sword prison. Chu Kuangren looked up and the descendant self-sword appeared in his hand. With a wave of his hand, a purple sword ray suddenly erupted and slashed across the sky. The sword ray was extremely swift and domineering. The black-haired man turned around and used his sword to block the attack. However, all that was heard was a clang, and the man and his sword were sliced in half. A sword attack that killed a peak battle monarch. This kind of earth-shattering battle prowess frightened all the demonic cultivators. It also made the Black Heaven sect disciples extremely excited. Elder Senior Brother is so strong. It's been a while since we last met, but Elder Senior Brother has improved by leaps and bounds. Another 2 sword attacks were unleashed. The Ghost Granny and the Een Mountain Elder were also killed in an instant. If that was the case for the 3 of them, then the rest of the demonic cultivators were even worse off. Within the 9-heaven sword prison, Sword Chi flew around and killed all the demonic cultivators. Cries of agony could be heard as demonic blood dyed the streets red. The people did not feel any sympathy for the demonic cultivators. Instead, their eyes were filled with unforgettable hatred. They could not wait to kill these demonic cultivators who harmed their families and friends with their own hands. A moment later, all the demonic cultivators in the city were killed by Chu Kuangren. Elder Senior Brother. Nangong Huang walked up to Chu Kuangren. Why are you guys the only ones here? Where are the others? They're all in the mountain river city. The demonic cultivators are wreaking havoc in the world. Why aren't they here? Didn't they say that they're going to start a demonic extermination operation? Chu Kuangren said coldly. Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others looked at each other with anger in their eyes. They're busy enjoying themselves now. They don't have time to deal with this. What's going on? They think that the northern Lingdao state is not chaotic enough. If they attack now, they'll only gain limited prestige. They're waiting for the demonic onslaught to get bigger before they attack. A bunch of B****stards. Murong Xian said angrily. Chu Kuangren was not surprised at all when he heard that. He sighed in his heart, as expected. 7th forefather, when the demonic Vow sect was wreaking havoc a few thousand years ago, did the other sage orthodoxies do the same? Chapter 97. Cultivators and Mortals. These were 2 distinct groups with clear boundaries. Cultivators possessed powers that mortals could never hope to achieve, and they were high above the masses. In the eyes of mortals, cultivators were no different from immortals. Naturally, cultivators would develop a sense of superiority. To most cultivators, the lives of mortals were not worth mentioning. If it were not for the invisible constraints of karma, and luck, most cultivators would not be any better off than demonic cultivators. Just like now, a few sage orthodoxies wanted to use this demonic onslaught to increase their prestige, gain merit, and luck. Hence, the more violent the demonic onslaught was, the more benefits they would receive after dealing with it. As for how many people would die in the process, they did not really care. After all, it was not their doing. Upon hearing Chu Kuangren's question, the seventh forefather fell silent for a while before he sighed. Indeed, there are many cultivators like this in the sage orthodoxies. Chu Kuangren nodded. I understand. The Mountain River City was where the Mountain River sect used to be. After the Mountain River sect was destroyed, the city was plunged into chaos. It was only after a few sage orthodoxies joined forces and temporarily took over the city that the situation started to improve. At this time, in a restaurant in the city, people were singing and dancing, and the sound of toasts and drinks could be heard. On the contrary, outside the restaurant, there were many people who had lost their homes, clothes, and food due to the demonic onslaught. Come, Li Run. Propose a toast to all the sky prides here. During the demonic onslaught, all of you are willing to step forward and save the people. You are truly righteous. At the banquet, a middle-aged man in luxurious robes raised his cup and smiled. In front of him were the sky prides from Jiang Valley, the sacred lands of serene wisdom, and the Five Ways sect. You're too kind, Li family head. It's our duty to eliminate demons and protect the righteous path. Fang Tian of the Five Ways sect said righteously. Those who did not know better would think that he had killed many demonic cultivators and saved many people. You're right, Fang Tian. Li family head smiled and nodded. He then hesitated before he said, This demonic onslaught has been going on for 7 days now. I wonder when everyone plans to take action. If this goes on, I'm afraid the northern Lingdao state will not be able to hold on any longer. Li family head was cursing in his heart when he said that. This group of so-called heaven's favorites had been in the Mountain River City for a few days, but they did not contribute much. Instead, they ate, drank, and played around. Let's wait for a few more days. Right now, it's not just the people of the Limitless Demon sect who are here, there are also a large number of other demonic cultivators. But when these people are almost here, I'll capture them all in one fell swoop. Gu Chang'e drank a glass of wine and said indifferently, That's right. There's something fishy about the appearance of the demonic cultivators this time. We heard that these people are looking for the sage ruler weapon of the limitless demonic honorable. It won't be too late for us to act after they find it. Lin Batian said. Over the past few days, they had found out that the limitless demon venerable had not come back to life. The ones who had destroyed the Mountain River sect were a youth who resembled the limitless demon venerable and a mysterious old man. The two of them were after the sage ruler weapon that the limitless demon venerable used to dominate the world. The news spread quickly among the demonic cultivators, causing all the demonic cultivators in the Azure Dragon domain to rush to the northern Lingdao state. TSK, the sage ruler weapon, the demonic spear of apocalypse. The limitless demon venerable was so powerful that he could defeat a sage. But after the death of the limitless demon venerable, the spear's whereabouts were unknown. I can't believe it's hidden in the northern Lingdao state. The White Lotus bachelor's eyes were burning with excitement. That was a sage ruler weapon. It was much more powerful than the average sage weapon. A sage weapon was enough to make countless cultivators go crazy for it, let alone a sage ruler weapon. At the banquet, the Sky Prides were talking about how powerful the sage ruler weapon was, but none of them said anything about sending troops. Li family head saw this and was anxious. Let me in. At that moment, a young man rushed in and looked at the Sky Prides at the banquet angrily. The Taoist of the Mountain River sect? Oh, what's the matter? Gu Chang'e glanced at him and said coldly. The young man was the only surviving Taoist from the Mountain River sect. He looked at the table full of delicacies and wine in front of him and said while suppressing his anger, I'm here to ask you guys, when are you going to attack? Taoist, don't worry. We'll attack when it's time. When it's time to attack. When most of the people in the northern Lingdao state are dead. The Mountain River Taoist asked. How dare you? Don't forget that the northern Lingdao state was reduced to this state because of the Mountain River sect's incompetence. We're here to help you clean up the mess. And this is how you treat us? A Taoist from the sacred lands of serene wisdom snorted. The Mountain River Taoist's face turned green. It's the Mountain River sect's incompetence that allowed the demonic onslaught to spread. But you guys just sit back and watch the people die and the people lose their homes. You're a sage orthodoxy. What a joke. We didn't care about this and let the northern Lingdao state perish on its own. Now that we're here, not only are you not grateful, you even dare to question us here. Don't you think that's too much? You're the ones who are too much. For the past few days, the Mountain River City has done its best to entertain you. The Li family, the Wang family, the Zhang family, and the other aristocratic families have sacrificed all of their wealth to beg for your help. But what have you been doing? You've received the benefits, but you've done nothing? You're worse than the common peddlers in the mortal world. What demonic extermination mission? It's all a joke. The Mountain River Taoist gritted his teeth as he glared at the sky prides before him. His anger was about to overflow. Mountain River Taoist, please understand the situation. If you provoke us, the longer we wait, the more people will die in the northern Lingdao state. Every word you say now concerns the lives of millions of people. Are you sure you want to continue? Gu Chang'e said calmly, her eyes turning cold. You're threatening me. The Mountain River Taoist's face darkened. So what if I am? At this point, the sky prides could not be bothered to pretend to be gentlemen anymore. They looked at the Mountain River Taoist with a mocking expression. Clap, clap, clap. At that moment, a round of applause rang out. Outside the room, a white-robed young man slowly walked in with a few people. The sky pride's expressions changed when they saw him. They could no longer sit still and stood up to stare at the newcomer. Chu Kuangren. It's Chu Kuangren, he's here. Chu Kuangren walked into the room and glanced at the people there. He smiled and said, You guys seem to be in a good mood. You're still having a banquet and the food looks pretty good. It's much better than the beggars I saw when I first came in. They are miserable. They don't have enough to eat, and they don't even have a complete set of clothes, unlike you guys who are wearing silk and satin clothes. TSK, this dog looks a bit like a human in these clothes. Gu Chang'e and the others' expressions changed when they heard that. How could they not understand that Chu Kuangren was indirectly calling them dogs? Chu Kuangren, don't be too presumptuous. One of the sky prides said coldly. However, Chu Kuangren did not even spare him a glance. Instead, he slapped the air and a terrifying spiritual power landed on that sky pride's head. Chapter 98. Chu Kuangren attacked without warning, scaring many people at the scene. Everyone stared at him with fear in their eyes. Chu Kuangren, how dare you hit me? The sky pride who was slapped stood up and roared in anger. So what if I hit you? Do you have to pick a day? Chu Kuangren said indifferently before he gave him another backhand slap. This slap sent him flying out of the restaurant. The Mountain River Taoist, Li family head, and the others looked at Chu Kuangren in shock. That was a Taoist from a sage orthodoxy. How could he just slap him like that? However, they had to admit that it was so satisfying. Chu Kuangren, what are you trying to do? Gu Chang'e asked coldly. Nothing much. I'm here today to inform you that from now on, I'm temporarily taking over the Mountain River City. Why? You think you can take over just because you say so? I've said it before. I'm only here to inform you. I don't need your permission, Chu Kuangren said. Humph. Chu Kuangren, do you think you can do whatever you want just because you're strong? Without our people, how are you going to take over the Mountain River City? Gu Chang'e smiled in disdain. Suddenly, the communication compass in his yin and yang ring vibrated. He took it out and a message was sent. All cultivators heading to the northern Lingdao state, listen to Chu Kuangren's orders. The royal Azure Dynasty ruler's voice came from the communication compass. Gu Chang'e's expression changed when he heard that. Not only him, but the White Lotus bachelor sage beside him also received the same message. I'm the fiancé of the royal Azure dynasty and the bachelor sage of the school of White Lotus. I'll take over your people as well. Chu Kuangren glanced at them before he turned around and left. Chu Kuangren. Gu Chang'e gritted his teeth as he watched Chu Kuangren leave. At the banquet, Li family head looked at the scene thoughtfully. Then, he wisely chose to give up on Gu Chang'e and the others and followed Chu Kuangren. On the street, Li family head caught up to Chu Kuangren. Brother Chu, I'm the Mountain River City Li family head. May I know when you're going to send your people? I've sent cultivators from the Black Heaven sect, the School of White Lotus, and the Royal Azure dynasty to eliminate the demonic onslaught. That's fast. Li family head was overjoyed. Finally, a reliable prodigy had arrived. He had heard many rumors about Chu Kuangren, so he knew that if Chu Kuangren truly wanted to save the entire state, he would be much more useful than Gu Chang'e and the others. The Li family is at fellow Taoist Chu's disposal. Patriarch Li immediately expressed his attitude. In this world, there were many cultivators who viewed mortals as weeds, but there were also cultivators who rose up from weeds and viewed mortals as equals. The Li family was one such family of cultivators. Brother Chu is kind-hearted, much better than Gu Chang'e and those so-called heaven's favorites, the Mountain River Taoist said. It's just something that's within my power. To Chu Kuangren, the lives of mortals were also lives. Immortals were also humans. The path of cultivation that he wanted to walk was not the merciless path that treated human lives as grass and all living beings as ants. Naturally, he would not ignore the demonic plague. On my way here, I heard that all the demonic cultivators in northern Lingdao are looking for a sage ruler weapon. Can you tell me more about it? Chu Kuangren thought of something and asked. Of course. The Mountain River Taoist and Patriarch Li told Chu Kuangren a lot, especially the Mountain River Taoist, whose eyes were filled with hatred when he spoke. Before the Supreme Demonic Honorable died, he left behind a sage ruler weapon, the demonic spear of Apocalypse. Rumor has it that this demonic spear appeared in northern Lingdao 2,000 years ago, but it was sealed by the forefather of my Mountain River sect. And that's why our Mountain River sect is facing such a calamity. The Mountain River Taoist clenched his fists and said, Do you know where this spear is? I don't know. That spear was sealed by our forefather, so no one knows where it is except for him. Besides, our forefather has passed away a long time ago. Does that mean no one knows where it is? Yes. Chu Kuangren nodded thoughtfully. The next day, Chu Kuangren took over the Mountain River City. He ordered the Li family and the other families to open up the city and take in the refugees from all over. In an instant, the Mountain River City was filled with refugee camps. This move also displeased a few cultivators from the sage orthodoxies. Every time they walked on the streets, they would see refugees dressed in rags and smelly. How could they, who had been living a comfortable life, tolerate that? Boom! A few terrifying auras came from outside Chu Kuangren's courtyard. The Five Ways sect, the Jiang Valley, the Dharma sect, the Taishu Temple, the Sacred Lands of Serene Wisdom, and a few other scattered sky prides had all arrived. Chu Kuangren, come out! Fang Tian of the Five Ways sect yelled. With a creak, the door opened. However, before anyone could see who it was, a dense Taoist rhyme erupted and a white ray of light shot out. Fang Tian's pupils shrank as he hurriedly activated his Five Ways Taoist Tao and unleashed a dazzling spiritual power. When the two energies collided, Fang Tian was forcefully pushed back a few meters, and his face turned pale. A figure walked out from the courtyard. It was Lan Yu. She glanced at the crowd coldly. You guys are too noisy. Why are you barking so early in the morning? Can't you guys let us rest? Chu Kuangren also walked out. Chu Kuangren, now that there are so many refugees in the Mountain River City, how are we supposed to move around? You must give us an explanation. Fang Tian said coldly. Move around? What kind of move do you guys want? Do you want to host a banquet in a restaurant? Or do you want to go to a brothel? Chu Kuangren sneered as he swept his cold gaze across the cultivators. No matter what, you've gone too far by letting so many refugees into the city. There's a lot of empty land outside the city. Why don't you let them stay there? Yuan Hong suggested. Hey, outside? Looks like you guys are used to living like princes here. Have you guys seen the situation outside? Demonic cultivators and beasts are everywhere. Letting them stay outside is no different from sending them to their deaths. Chu Kuangren sneered. So what? It's just a few people dying. When the time comes, we'll naturally take action to eradicate the demonic onslaught. That's right, Chu Kuangren. You must let these refugees leave the city today. Otherwise, we won't take action against this demonic onslaught. That's right, do you really think you can do it alone? The group of Sky Prides said. Chu Kuangren only felt that it was ridiculous. Were these cultivators really here to eradicate the demonic onslaught? Even without you guys, I can still eradicate the demonic onslaught. Chu Kuangren said in a firm tone. With a flick of his sleeves, a violent surge of sword chi gushed out and blasted the group of cultivators in front of him a few dozen feet away. Now all of you scram. Chu Kuangren, you really think you're invincible? We'll fight you. A few of the Sky Prides made their moves. They had heard all kinds of rumors about Chu Kuangren, but that was just that. Today, they wanted to test his capabilities. Not good. No! Yuan Hong, Fang Tian, and a few other Sky Prides who had witnessed Chu Kuangren's capabilities immediately wanted to stop him. They came here to demand an explanation, but they had never thought of fighting him. After all, Chu Kuangren's strength was already deeply engraved in their hearts. However, they were one step too late. The few Sky Prides rushed in front of Chu Kuangren. Their Taoist rhymes and violent spiritual power surged out in unison. However, when Chu Kuangren looked up, the few of them were instantly frozen in midair. The Taoist techniques that they had cast were instantly dispersed. Chapter 99. Does anyone else have a problem with me? Chu Kuangren said coldly. After killing a few prodigies, the crowd kept quiet out of fear. At that moment, a ripple appeared in the void, and a few peak battle monarchs charged out, glaring at Chu Kuangren. Aren't you a little too cruel? You killed someone just because you didn't agree with them. How are you any different from a devil cultivator? Chu Kuangren, you've crossed the line. These battle kings were the protectors of those geniuses. A battle monarch-level protector meant that the power behind these geniuses was at most an honorable orthodoxy. Chu Kuangren sneered. Brutal? Let's be clear, they were the ones who attacked first, and they didn't hold back. How can I not fight back? If you're not convinced, you can make a move as well. Chu Kuangren did not back down in the face of a few battle monarchs. After all, he had killed quite a number of battle monarchs along the way. The few battle monarchs wore gloomy expressions, but they did not make a move. They were not afraid of Chu Kuangren, but the Taoist protector behind him was not someone they could fight against. The Tao protector wouldn't easily intervene in the affairs of the younger generation, but if they bullied the young, the Tao protector wouldn't just sit back and watch. In fact, these people were thinking too much. Even if they did, the seventh forefather and the others would not do anything. That was because they knew how terrifying Chu Kuangren's combat strength was now. If he could even kill an honorable, what more a few battle monarchs? In the end, none of the battle monarchs made a move. Chu Kuangren, you're still as arrogant as ever. At that moment, Lin Batian from the Jiang Valley spoke with a cold look on his face. Chu Kuangren glanced at him and was surprised to see that he had a head full of purple hair. Oh, where did you get your hair made from? Humph. Lin Batian harumphed coldly as a terrifying Taoist rhyme exuded from his body, causing the Sky Prides at the scene to turn pale. Fang Tian, Gu Chang'e, and the others looked at Lin Batian in shock. How did his Taoist rhyme change? Such a powerful aura. What's going on? How did he become so terrifying in such a short period of time? Even supremacies might not be able to compare to this Taoist aura. Chu Kuangren chuckled. It's only been a few days since we last met, but it seems like you've mastered some decent techniques. No wonder you have the confidence to face me directly. Runes circulated in his eyes as he activated the Eye of Revelation. Lin Batian, Violet Sun Valley Taoist. Control the sacred fire left behind by the ancestor of Ziyang Valley. Holy Flame? Was this a technique left behind by a saint? Chu Kuangren chuckled. Come, let me see how powerful this so-called sacred flame of yours is. Let's see if it can even hurt me. Lin Badian frowned. That surge of energy finally broke through the 10 feet radius around Chu Kuangren. 10 feet, 90 feet, however, at 90 feet, the sacred flame still dissipated. Everyone, including Lin Badian himself, was dumbfounded. Lin Badian had risked his life to advance only 10 feet. But Chu Kuangren had not moved a single step since the beginning. The gap between them was just too huge. Lin Badian's Taoist core was shaken, and his face was pale as he stared at Chu Kuangren. He felt like there was a mountain pressing against his chest, and he could barely breathe. He had thought that he could close the gap between him and Chu Kuangren by obtaining the sacred flame, and it was not impossible for him to fight Chu Kuangren. However, what was going on? Chu Kuangren could crush him just by standing there. The gap between their strengths made him feel hopeless. Lin Badian was not the only one who felt hopeless. The other Sky Prides felt the same way too. It's my turn now. Chu Kuangren glanced at Lin Badian before he raised his arm and unleashed a sword chi. The purple sword ray was so powerful that even though Lin Badian had used all of his strength to block it, he was still sent flying hundreds of feet away. The violent sword chi that dispersed from the attack even left dozens of bloody wounds on his body. Lin Badian was defeated with a single sword attack. Everyone fell silent when they saw that. Everyone else had worked themselves to the bone and could not even hurt a single hair on Chu Kuangren's body. Yet Chu Kuangren could injure his opponent with a single sword attack. Unparalleled defense and unparalleled attack. It was simply unbeatable. Chu Kuangren, you're really strong. At that moment, a ray of light came from afar and landed in front of everyone. That person was wearing a black robe, and a powerful aura emanated from his body. It was extremely domineering. It's him, the newly appointed Taoist of the sacred lands of serene wisdom, Ao Chang. Someone recognized that person. Chapter 100. Chu Kuangren had heard some rumors about the ancient Sky Prides. According to legend, it had been 150,000 years since the Near Ancient Era. This was an era where the Emperor's path had been severed and the Great Tao had not appeared. Countless Heaven's Prides were unable to become emperors. Therefore, some Heaven's Prides chose to seal themselves and hibernate, waiting for the great battle to arrive before awakening. It was obvious that Ao Chang was an ancient Sky Pride. Interesting. Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued. How much stronger would a Sky Pride from the ancient times be compared to a present-day Sky Pride? As he used his eye of revelation to analyze further, Chu Kuangren realized that Ao Chang's combat strength was much stronger than a young emperor like Lei Ao. He even mastered 3 sage ruler techniques, which was extremely powerful. Chu Kuangren, I've always wanted to meet you. Being stared at by Chu Kuangren, Ao Chang did not know why, but he had a feeling that he was being seen through. He was very upset, so he channeled his spiritual power and released a powerful Taoist rhyme. He raised his hand, and the surrounding void shook. It was as if a boulder had been thrown into a lake, creating huge waves. The terrifying might made one's scalp go numb. A young emperor. He's definitely a young emperor-level genius. No, he might even be stronger than the average young emperor. F***ck me. There are only 8 young emperors in this world. But why are there so many young emperors popping up recently? The world of great battles is indeed extraordinary. In the face of Ao Chang's domineering aura, Chu Kuangren was very calm. He even hooked his finger at the other party, obviously provoking him. Humph! Upon seeing that, Ao Chang could no longer hold himself back. His Taoist rhymes erupted and his spiritual power surged as he threw a punch at Chu Kuangren. The violent spiritual power and Taoist rhymes formed an extremely terrifying grand sun in the void. It was extremely firm and domineering. Sage ruler magic, sunfall. The void rumbled. The great sun fist landed on the white lotuses in the sky. The terrifying spiritual energy impacted the white lotuses, while the white lotuses continued to break down the great sun fist. The two Taoist rhymes continued to collide with each other, creating a dazzling scene. However, just like Lin Baishan's Saint Flame, Ao Chang's punch was only able to disintegrate the White Lotus before it was purified. Chu Kuangren remained standing where he was, calm and unruffled. The ancient geniuses are only SOSO. Chu Kuangren shook his head and said disappointedly, "This White Lotus has such a strong defense." Ao Chang's pupils shrank. He was surprised and his eyes turned serious. He had thought that in this era, there were no sky prides worthy of his attention, not even the young emperors. However, Chu Kuangren was different. This was definitely a formidable opponent. Ao Chang pondered for a while before he chuckled. "Chu Kuangren, since you know that I'm an ancient sky pride, then you should also know that this era of great battles is not prepared for you. It's for us. The prodigies of your era are too weak. When the ancient sky prides awaken one by one, that will be the true beginning of the era of great battles. Chu Kuangren, when that time comes, I'll fight you again." Ao Chang's words shocked all the sky prides present. This was a world of great competition. They were fortunate to be born in this era, but unfortunately, this era wasn't prepared for them. This was truly too despairing. After saying that, Ao Chang turned around to leave. However, Chu Kuangren suddenly said, "Wait! Oh, do you want to fight again? I don't think it's appropriate for you to punch me just now. I should return the favor, so I think I should return the favor." Chu Kuangren lifted his gaze slightly with the Descendant Self Sword in his hand. Then, he raised his arm and slashed out with the Descendant Self Sword. A dazzling purple sword ray erupted like a flood. That sword attack could devour the heavens and the earth, as if it could destroy everything in its path. Not good. Sage Ruler Technique. Divine Mountain Shield. Ao Chang's expression changed slightly. Then, he channeled the spiritual power within his body, and a mysterious Taoist rhyme appeared, forming a majestic godly mountain in front of him. The thick godly mountain had top-notch defensive capabilities. However, when that sword attack landed on the godly mountain, the void shook violently. The impact from the collision of the two forces was like an endless hurricane that swept out in all directions. Many of the cultivators at the scene were swept away. Then, a loud explosion was heard. The godly mountain shattered, and the Taoist rhyme dissipated. The domineering purple sword ray struck Ao Chang and sent him flying. A large amount of blood gushed out like a rain of blood. "You can't even take a single sword attack from me. Do you think you're worthy to fight me? Also, let me give you a friendly reminder. I'm here in this era. If you ancient sky prides like you obediently sleep, nothing will happen to you. But if you want to come out and cause trouble, I'll let you know the true meaning of despair." Chu Kuangren looked at Ao Chang and said word by word. Who did not know how to talk back? "You!" Ao Chang was enraged and wanted to refute. "You what? Get out of here." Chu Kuangren's sword chi flowed on the tip of his sword, and a boundlessly sharp sword-based Taoist rhyme filled the air. No one dared to talk back to him. Ao Chang knew that he was no match for Chu Kuangren, so he dragged his injured body and left the scene. "Chu Kuangren, just you wait. Once I recover to my peak, I'll make you pay." Ao Chang roared in his heart, his face as gloomy as water. After he left, the other sky prides at the scene also left one by one. As for the purpose of their trip, it was impossible for them to achieve it. D*MN. That Chu Kuangren is just too powerful. We can't even fight back against him. One of the sky prides from the orthodoxy said unwillingly, "Do we really have to stay with these stinky beggars?" A cultivator said as he looked at the refugees on the street with dissatisfaction. His face was full of disdain. "No, I can't take it anymore. How about this? Let's not send out any troops and let Chu Kuangren deal with those demonic cultivators himself. I'd like to see how he's going to deal with all the demonic cultivators in the entire state with his few subordinates." "That's right. So what if he's strong? He won't be able to deal with so many demonic cultivators with his few subordinates. When the time comes, he'll still have to come to us for help." "That's right. The Sky Prides from the other orthodoxies had decided not to attack. They wanted to use this opportunity to force Chu Kuangren to give in. At this time, Chu Kuangren had arrived at a wasteland. To be more precise, this was the ruins of the Mountain River sect. Ever since the Mountain River sect was destroyed, the entire honorable orthodoxy was plundered by the demonic cultivators in just a day. Now, not even a single soulstone could be found in this wasteland. Only the dilapidated walls and ruins could be seen, as if they were telling of the past glory. "Master, why did we come here?" Lan Yu asked curiously. "Lan Yu, if you were to seal a sage ruler demonic weapon, where would you choose to put it?" "Of course, a place where I can rest assured." "What place can you rest assured the most?" "A place where I can see it but no one else knows." Lan Yu frowned as he voiced out his thoughts. "That's right." Chu Kuangren nodded. "Master, do you mean that the ancestors of the Mountain River sect might have sealed the supreme demonic honorable sage ruler weapon within their orthodoxy? But this place seems to have been ransacked by someone," Lan Yu said. "Perhaps there's a place that no one else can find." Chu Kuangren smiled and activated his treasure locating skill. Chapter 101. There's a sage ruler weapon hidden 3 kilometers underground. The information obtained from the treasure locating skill was relayed to Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. "I found it. Damn. It's buried 3 kilometers underground and has a seal to conceal its aura. If not for my treasure locating skill, even an honorable supreme would not be able to find it. The next step is to find a way to get it out." Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu leaped into the air and activated the 3 Taoist physique transformations. A terrifying sword-based Taoist rhyme surrounded his body. Heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique. A purple sword ray descended from the sky and struck the ground. With a loud bang, the earth shook and the mountains shook. The entire Mountain River city shook a few times because of this. Everyone looked into the distance in confusion. What's going on? It's coming from the direction of the Mountain River sect. And this Taoist rhyme, it's Chu Kuangren. What is he up to this time? Let's go take a look. The cultivators in the city rushed towards the direction of the Mountain River sect. Before they could get close, another terrifying explosion erupted in the Mountain River sect. Another domineering sword chi descended from the sky. One after another, the sword rays continued to strike down. F***CK. Is this guy trying to split open the mountain? Is there something at the bottom of the mountain? Inside the Mountain River sect. Chu Kuangren continuously activated his sword chi. The Mountain River sect was already in ruins, but because of his actions it was now in ruins. An enormous, bottomless crack appeared on the ground. Phew, one more. Chu Kuangren swung his sacred sword and a violent sword chi descended. The sword chi cut into the pitch-black crack and shattered as if it had hit an invisible barrier. The remaining sword chi then dissipated. Upon closer inspection, yellow runes appeared in the pitch-black crack. They were glowing and there was earth chi flowing around them. "Brother Chu, what are you doing?" At that moment, the Mountain River Taoist rushed over and questioned Chu Kuangren. After all, the Mountain River sect was his orthodoxy. Although it had been destroyed, he still had feelings for this place. He could not bear to see it being destroyed. However, he then noticed something strange underground. He looked at the yellow runes and exclaimed, "This is my Mountain River sect seal. It's good that you're here. Do you know how to break this seal?" Chu Kuangren glanced at him and asked, "This is a restriction set up by my Mountain River sect using earth chi. Unless one's strength surpasses that of the person who set it up, or if one uses earth chi to attack it, it will be very difficult to break." Although the Mountain River Taoist didn't understand the situation, he still explained. "Little fellow, do you need my help?" The 7th forefather's voice rang out from the void. Chu Kuangren chuckled. "Let me do it myself." He soared into the sky and performed a mysterious hand sign. A thick and majestic Taoist rhyme surged and began to gather the earth chi from all directions. Boundless earth chi converged to form an immemorial divine mountain and smashed out with a loud rumble. Sage ruler technique, human mountain stamp. Seeing this, Taoist mountain river's expression suddenly changed. To be able to control earthen qi of this scale, what a mysterious Taoist technique. The mountain river sect was proficient in manipulating earth qi, but even they did not have such a Tao technique. Boom! The divine mountain formed by the earth qi smashed onto the restrictive spell in the crack. Instantly, a large amount of earth qi rushed out of the crack. The mountain river restriction was broken. At the same time, the earth qi was mixed with a black pillar of qi. That pillar of qi emitted an incredibly powerful Taoist rhyme that made one's scalp tingle. The terrifying demonic qi instantly swept out in all directions. This aura, it's a demonic weapon. Wait a minute, could it be the supreme demonic honorable's demonic spear of apocalypse? That's impossible. The entire mountain river sect has been turned upside down, but no one has found a trace of the demonic spear. How did Chu Kuangren find it? It's underground. It's hidden underground. How did he find it? Everyone looked at the crack, their expressions changing. Some of them even revealed looks of greed. After all, that was a sage ruler weapon. There were probably only a few of them in the entire firmament star. Unfortunately, because of Chu Kuangren, none of them dared to make a move. The earth qi and demonic qi gradually dispersed. Everyone could now clearly see what was beneath the crack. Deep in the ground, there was a dark red spear with runes circling it and surges of terrifying Taoist rhymes. It was the sage ruler weapon, the demonic spear of apocalypse. So this is a sage ruler weapon? It really is extraordinary. Back in the day, the Supreme Demonic Honorable was able to dominate the Azure Dragon domain largely because of this spear. However, legend has it that even the Supreme Demonic Honorable himself could not fully unleash the power of this spear. Nonsense, this is a sage ruler weapon we're talking about. The Supreme Demonic Honorable has yet to become a sage, so how could he fully unleash the spear's power? The reason why the demonic onslaught in the northern Lingdao state has attracted countless demonic cultivators from afar is all because of this demonic spear. Countless cultivators gulped as they stared at the demonic spear. It was as if a voice echoed in their hearts. Get it? Get it? I don't care anymore. This spear is mine. Some cultivators could no longer hold back their desire as they dashed towards the crack in a flash. However, before he could get close, a sword ray flashed past and that cultivator was instantly killed by Chu Kuangren. However, the killing did not deter the other cultivators. One after another, they dashed towards the demonic spear with bloodshot eyes. No, this demonic spear must be mine. No matter how strong Chu Kuangren is, he's just one person. Kill! The demonic spear is destined to belong to me. In the blink of an eye, dozens of cultivators dashed out from the crowd. Chu Kuangren frowned as he looked at their frenzied expressions. As expected of a demonic spear, its ability to seduce people's hearts is not to be underestimated. The demonic spear lived up to its name. If one's Taoist core was not strong enough, one would be tempted by it like these cultivators and fall into a frenzy without realizing it. Chu Kuangren took a step forward and arrived at the depths of the crack before the others. Then, he unleashed his 9-heaven sword prison. Inside the sword prison, all the cultivators were frozen in the void, unable to move. One by one, they were killed by Chu Kuangren's sword qi. Chu Kuangren, hand over the demonic spear. That's right. This is not something you should have. Be *starred, you're the lead disciple of a sage orthodoxy. You're a peerless genius with many treasures on you. Why do you still want to snatch this demonic spear from us? Are you not going to leave us any room for negotiation? The remaining cultivators looked at Chu Kuangren and cursed him. One of the battle monarch took a step forward. A large amount of spiritual power surged from his body, and a violent surge of Taoist rhymes instantly gushed out. No one can stop me from taking this demonic spear. That battle monarch raised his hand and attacked Chu Kuangren. The palm attack swept across the sky. Idiot! Chu Kuangren yelled as sword qi surged out of his body, instantly tearing apart the palm attack and killing that cultivator on the spot. Following that, Chu Kuangren formed a hand seal and guided the earth chi to form an ancient godly mountain that blasted the remaining cultivators away. After that, Chu Kuangren turned around to look at the demonic spear of apocalypse. He reached out to hold the spear's handle, and it felt cold to the touch. Boom! The spear vibrated, and a violent surge of demonic chi erupted. Surrender. Chu Kuangren activated the 4 supreme foundation levels within his body, and a majestic spiritual power surged out to suppress the demonic spear of apocalypse. Even though it was a sage ruler weapon, it was still a weapon. It would not be able to unleash much of its power if no one was using it. Chapter 102. Chu Kuangren held the demonic spear of apocalypse in his hand and felt the power it contained. It was extremely powerful, much more powerful than his descendant self-sword. Too bad it's a spear, not a sword. Chu Kuangren felt a little regretful. However, he quickly put that thought behind him. After all, he did not come looking for this demonic weapon because he was lacking weapons. With the appearance of this demonic weapon, it's time to end this demonic onslaught. Chu Kuangren murmured and tossed the demonic spear into his yin and yang ring. As the demonic spear disappeared, the cultivators who were bewitched gradually returned to normal and felt their scalps go numb. F***ck me. That demonic spear is too evil. What a terrifying demonic weapon. I can't even control myself. The cultivators were still traumatized. However, Chu Kuangren was not interested in them at all. After he exited the crevice, he said to the mountain river Taoist, "Spread the news that the demonic spear of apocalypse is with me. If they want it, tell them to come to me." The mountain river Taoist and the others could guess what Chu Kuangren was planning. He was planning to use the demonic spear as bait to attract all the demonic cultivators in northern Lingdao and then kill them all in one fell swoop. "I'll inform the Li family head to get ready," the mountain river Taoist said solemnly. It was not an easy task to wipe out all the demonic cultivators in northern Lingdao. It required a lot of manpower. They even needed to call back those who were sent out. "Don't do anything unnecessary. All you need to do is spread the news," Chu Kuangren said. "Brother Chu, what do you mean by that?" The mountain river Taoist was confused. "Just do as I say," Chu Kuangren said calmly. The mountain river Taoist's pupils shrank when he saw his calm demeanor. A terrifying and absurd idea popped into his mind. "Brother Chu, are you planning to deal with all these demonic cultivators by yourself? That's impossible. There are too many demonic cultivators in northern Lingdao now. How can you deal with them all by yourself?" "I know what I'm doing." The mountain river Taoist had no choice but to do as he was told. Then, the news of the demonic spear's reappearance began to spread. As the central area, the mountain river city knew about it. Everyone could guess what Chu Kuangren was thinking. They knew that he wanted to use the demonic spear of apocalypse to gather all the demonic cultivators together. However, it was useless even if he knew, because this was an overt plot. If he wanted the demon spear, he would have to find him even if he knew it was a trap. "I can't believe that Chu Kuangren has found the demonic spear of apocalypse. What a surprise. Is he going to use this demonic spear to lure all the demonic cultivators here and kill them all at once? That sounds like a good idea." Humph! How could he possibly wipe out all the demonic cultivators in the Dao province with that little bit of manpower he has? It's about time he came to ask for our help. TSK. I really wonder how Chu Kuangren looks like when he's begging someone. I'm really looking forward to it. That's right. Let's all enjoy it together then. Inside the mountain river city, the sky prides from the various sacred lands and the people they had brought along were all waiting for Chu Kuangren to come to them for help. But 1 day, 2 days, 3 days had passed, but Chu Kuangren still had not gone to look for them. The news of the demonic spear's reappearance had spread across the entire northern Lingdao state. Many demonic cultivators were already on their way to the mountain river city. If they did not make preparations soon, it would be too late. At that moment, the sky prides in the mountain river city could no longer sit still. What the hell is Chu Kuangren trying to do? Why hasn't he come to us for help yet? Humph, without us, How is he going to wipe out all the demonic cultivators in the northern Lingdao state? Is he going to ask for help from the orthodoxies? That's impossible. Distant water cannot quench present thirst. Besides, this demonic onslaught is a form of training given to us by the older generation. They won't act rashly. D***, what is Chu Kuangren trying to do? All of the Sky Prides were confused. Then more news came. Chu Kuangren had left the mountain river city and headed towards a nearby mountain range. It seemed like he was going to fight to the death with a group of demonic cultivators there. At that moment, all of the Sky Prides knew what Chu Kuangren was trying to do. He was trying to fight all the demonic cultivators by himself. F***ck me. Does this guy have a death wish? Doesn't he know how many demonic cultivators there are in the northern Lingdao state? How can he deal with all of them by himself? Humph, he's just digging his own grave. I heard that he did not even summon back the disciples from the great orthodoxies that he had sent out to save people. This time, he's dead meat. In the Mountain River City, the Mountain River Taoist Li family head, and the others naturally knew about Chu Kuangren's plan. They could not help but exclaim, "Brother Chu is such a righteous man." Meanwhile, the news had also spread out in the city. All of the refugees and ordinary citizens knew that Chu Kuangren was going to fight all the demonic cultivators by himself. This caused countless people to be shocked and convinced. In an instant, Chu Kuangren's image in the hearts of the people had skyrocketed. Compared to the likes of Guchanga and Fangtian, he was many times better. The ordinary citizens were indeed weak, but they were not blind. They could tell who was truly sincere in helping them solve the demonic onslaught. The sacred lands of serene wisdom, the Jiang Valley, and the sage orthodoxies are all bullsh**t. They're not even worth a strand of Master Chu's hair. That's right. Ever since Master Chu arrived, he has been accepting refugees and sending people to various places to provide disaster relief. He's so much better than the other Sky Prides who only know how to enjoy themselves. Master Chu is the one who truly wants to save us. Public opinion exploded. Chu Kuangren was praised by everyone as the savior of the northern Lingdao state. As for the other Sky Prides, they were scolded for being good-for-nothings. Even their orthodoxies were cursed. Ao Chang, Lin Batian, Fang Tian, and the others could not sit still anymore. Why did they come to the northern Lingdao state? Of course, it was to increase the prestige of their orthodoxies. However, after what Chu Kuangren had done, not only did they lose their prestige, but their reputation had also been tarnished. "Brother Lin, let's do something now." In a great hall, Lin Batian and the others were gathered together. The one who spoke was Fang Tian from the Five Ways sect, and he looked a little anxious. "If we don't act now, Chu Kuangren will take all the limelight." Yuan Hong from the Dharma sect also suggested to act as soon as possible to eradicate the demonic onslaught. "Why should we act now?" At that moment, Ao Chang spoke. Everyone looked at him with a puzzled expression. "Even if we act now, Chu Kuangren will take all the limelight, popularity, and prestige. The people will only think that we're acting because of public opinion," Ao Chang said. "Then what should we do?" Wait for Chu Kuangren to fail. With so many demonic cultivators, I don't believe that he can fight them all by himself. Once he fails, the people will definitely fall into despair. Then we'll act and save the day. We'll save the people from this disaster and put an end to this demonic onslaught. Ao Chang's suggestion made many people's eyes light up. Since they could not save any face by acting now, they might as well wait for Chu Kuangren to fail before they act. Not only would that increase their prestige, but it would also damage Chu Kuangren's reputation. Haha, what a good way to kill two birds with one stone. I agree. Me too. Rumor has it that Chu Kuangren is hiding in a mountain range outside the mountain river city by himself. He wants to fight against all of us by himself. What a joke. You're simply courting death. To do such a thing for a bunch of ants. This Chu Kuangren is really stupid. I've long wanted to meet this infamous Chu Kuangren. This is the perfect opportunity to kill him and take the demonic weapon. Let's go! The Utopia faction wants this devil spear. The news of the demonic spear of apocalypse spread across the entire northern Lingdao within a few days, shocking all the demonic cultivators. Led by the three major demonic orthodoxies of the Azure Dragon domain, the demonic cultivators quickly rushed to the mountain river city, ready to deal with Chu Kuangren and seize the demonic weapon. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren. He was in a mountain range, sitting on a large green rock with his eyes closed. Mysterious Taoist rhymes circulated around his body. After a long while, he slowly opened his eyes. Completed Paradise Realm. At this point, his cultivation base had reached the completed Paradise Realm, and he was only one step away from breaking through to the Battle Monarch Realm. In other words, he could break through to the Battle Monarch Realm at any time, but he did not do so. Instead, he deliberately suppressed it. He had already forged a supreme foundation in the four realms of Foundation Establishment, Golden Core, Nascent Soul, and Paradise Realm. He wanted to do the same for the Battle Monarch Realm. However, it was extremely difficult to forge a supreme foundation in the Battle Monarch Realm. In the past 150,000 years, there were only a few who could do it. However, if it was not difficult, then there would be no point in challenging it. Chu Kuangren was confident that he could do it. Hence, he deliberately suppressed his cultivation base, waiting for the right time to forge a supreme foundation. Let's deal with this demonic onslaught first. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. At that moment, Lan Yu frowned beside him. Suddenly, her figure flashed and disappeared on the spot. Then, sounds of fighting could be heard from afar. When Lan Yu returned, she was carrying a half-dead young cultivator in her hand. She casually tossed him to the ground. "Which sect are you from?" Chu Kuangren asked. "I'm a spy from the Euphoria sect." Since he had been caught, the young cultivator had no intention of hiding his identity. Chu Kuangren thought for a while. In the Azure Dragon domain, although the demonic orthodoxies had always been suppressed by the 8 Great Sage orthodoxies, there were still many forces worth mentioning. Among them, the 3 major demonic orthodoxies were the most famous. They were the Euphoria sect, the Ashura sect, and the Corpse Refining sect. Rumor had it that the combined power of these 3 sects could rival a sage orthodoxy. They were much stronger than ordinary honorable orthodoxies. "How many people are heading here?" Chu Kuangren asked again. "The Euphoria sect, the Corpse Refining sect, and the Ashura sect. All the demonic cultivators that came to the northern Lingdao state are heading here. I'm a spy from the Euphoria sect. I'm here to see if you guys have set up any traps." The young cultivator said with uncertainty in his eyes. He had taken a stroll around the mountain range just now. Apart from Chu Kuangren, he did not see a single cultivator. In other words, Chu Kuangren was the only one here. There were no traps at all. Chu Kuangren was really going to face all the demonic cultivators alone. Even the demonic cultivators who were known for their madness could not help but be scared to death by Chu Kuangren's actions. "All right, I think you're almost done with your investigation. You can go back and report now. Hurry up, don't make me wait too long." Seeing that Chu Kuangren was not going to kill him, the young cultivator quickly got up and left. Before he left, he asked curiously, "Is the demonic spear of apocalypse really with you?" With a clang, a dark red spear appeared in front of the young cultivator. Waves of Taoist rhymes rushed into the young cultivator's mind, causing a hint of madness to appear in his eyes. "It's really the demonic spear." Chu Kuangren let him take a look before he kept the demonic spear of apocalypse and said coldly, "Get lost." The young cultivator regained his composure and quickly left. After he left, the 7th forefather and the other 2 protectors walked out of the void. The 7th forefather said, "Young man, do you really plan to face all the demonic cultivators alone? It's too risky." "Don't worry, 7th forefather. When the time comes, I'll have to trouble all the cultivators above the honorable realm for me. I'll handle the rest. That's not a problem. But there are at least tens of thousands of demonic cultivators coming to the northern Lingdao state. How are you going to deal with them alone, Bachelor Sage? Why don't you call back the disciples you sent out?" Honorable Qinglan of the School of White Lotus said worriedly. "The demonic spear of apocalypse may be tempting, But not every demonic cultivator will come. Someone will have to deal with those that have slipped through. I'll leave it to junior brother Nangong and the others, Chu Kuangren said. Don't worry. I have the white lotus light of purification with me. Even an honorable can't do anything to me. Besides, if I really can't hold on any longer, no one can stop me from leaving. Chu Kuangren laughed. Chapter 104. Did Chu Kuangren really not set up any traps? In the mountains near the mountain river city, a group of demonic cultivators had gathered. The leader of the group was a lady in a gorgeous robe. She was the Euphoria sect's senior elder, and she could not help but be surprised when she heard the news from the scouts. Did Chu Kuangren really plan to fight against all the demonic cultivators by himself? Oh my God! This is just too crazy. No, the word crazy is not enough to describe this anymore. This guy must be crazy. Aside from the Euphoria sect, the cultivators from the Ashura sect and the corpse refining sect had also sent their people to check on the situation. At that moment, the three great demonic orthodoxies were shocked, but there were also many who felt that they had been underestimated, which made them extremely angry. What does this guy think we are? He's too arrogant. That's right, he has no respect for us at all. I've investigated. The other orthodoxies have no intention of making a move at all. They're all staying in the mountain river city. Chu Kuangren. All the demonic cultivators headed towards the mountains. Inside the mountains. Ever since Chu Kuangren sent the scouts from the Euphoria sect away, he knew that the demonic cultivators would arrive in less than 2 days. They're already here. Chu Kuangren slowly opened his eyes and looked towards the forest not far away. The forest trembled and countless birds and beasts were startled away. Figures came from all directions and surrounded Chu Kuangren. Their numbers were like a swarm of locusts. Each of these people had a ferocious aura, and their leader was a burly man in black armor. Chu Kuangren glanced at them and activated his eye of revelation. Soon he found out who these people were. Ashura sect. Rumor has it that the Ashura sect's cultivators are bloodthirsty. No wonder they have such a ferocious aura. Chu Kuangren murmured. The Ashura sect's cultivators did not attack immediately when they arrived. Instead, they stared at Chu Kuangren cautiously. They had heard many legends about Chu Kuangren, so they were more or less nervous to face this immortal-like figure head-on. As the Ashura sect's cultivators arrived, the scene was filled with a murderous atmosphere. The surroundings were so quiet that even the chirping of the insects had disappeared. Suddenly, a strange fragrance wafted over. In the sky, a charming and enchanting woman in a fiery red dress soared through the air. She brought with her a strange fragrance, and the somber atmosphere eased up. Many Ashura sect cultivators looked at the woman, their minds seemingly bewitched as their burning gazes swept back and forth across her body. Behind the woman, a large number of cultivators also rushed over. The densely packed crowd immediately surrounded the sky, making it so that not even a drop of water could escape. It's just as the rumors say. The famous Chu Kuangren is indeed a handsome man. The red-clothed lady could not help but lick her lips when she saw Chu Kuangren. Her eyes were filled with amazement. Little Lang Jun, give me the demon spear of apocalypse, and I'll take you back to the Utopia faction to enjoy the happiest things in the world. What do you think? The lady in red winked at Chu Kuangren and teased him. Chu Kuangren sat on the blue stone and turned a deaf ear to it, his expression indifferent. What a joke. It was said that the Utopia faction had a dual cultivation method, which was most suitable for women to cultivate. Through intercourse, women could absorb the essence of men to improve their cultivation. Chu Kuangren did not want to be sucked dry. At that moment, the ground shook as a group of ferocious-looking walking corpses in tattered clothes rushed towards them. Wherever they went, corpse chi filled the air, and all the plants and trees withered. Behind the group of walking corpses were dozens of black giants the size of small hills. These giants had dark skin, twisted facial features, and their bodies were engraved with strange runes. Every step they took caused the ground to tremble. On top of the black giants stood a group of strangely dressed cultivators. Some wore bamboo hats while others wore cloaks. The corpse refining sect, one of the three great demonic orthodoxies, had also arrived. With the arrival of the three great demonic orthodoxies, the rest of the scattered demonic cultivators who were here to fish in troubled waters also showed up. Their total number was not much less than any of the three great demonic orthodoxies. The total number of these four forces was much more than what Chu Kuangren had imagined. There were at least 100,000 of them. In an instant, the demonic forces danced around. The Ashura sect, Euphoria sect, Corpse Refining sect, and the rest of the small fries should be here by now. Chu Kuangren chuckled and slowly stood up. His frail body was as straight as a sword, giving off an indestructible and unstoppable aura. All the demonic cultivators at the scene were shocked. Inside the Mountain River City, on top of the city wall, the Li family head, the Mountain River Taoist, and the others looked towards the direction of the mountain range. Although they were hundreds of miles away, they could still clearly sense the terrifying aura. What a strong aura! I can feel it even from so far away. How many demonic cultivators are here? The Mountain River Taoist said solemnly. Activate the Divine Observatory. At that moment, the Li family head shouted. A Li family disciple took out a huge round mirror. Runes flowed on the mirror, and as spiritual power was injected into it, images began to appear. Finally, it stopped at the location of a mountain range. That was where Chu Kuangren was. When they saw the densely packed demonic cultivators in the image, the Li family head, the Mountain River Taoist, and the others could not help but tremble. There were too many of them. The number of demonic cultivators was just too many. It was far beyond their imagination. We've underestimated the temptation of the demonic spear of apocalypse to these demonic cultivators. I guess the three demonic orthodoxies have turned out in full force. Brother Chu, how are we going to deal with this? The Li family head said with a trembling voice. Then, he turned the Divine Observatory's direction. An ray of light shot out from the mirror. It landed in the sky and turned into a huge light screen. Everyone in the Mountain River City saw the light screen. This is the Li family's Divine Observatory. I heard that the Li family's Divine Observatory has the magical ability to see everything within a 10,000-mile radius. What are they going to show us? Everyone looked at the light screen curiously. When the light faded, an image appeared. In the mountain range, densely packed demonic cultivators were scattered all over the place, and zombies were roaring in every corner of the land. Everyone's pupils shrank when they saw this scene. These are demonic cultivators. So many demonic cultivators. They're all gathered together. This is too scary. Wait, could it be? Some people had already guessed what was going on. When the image changed, it finally stopped at a skinny figure in a white robe. It was a young man. The young man was accompanied by an equally beautiful woman. Both of them were surrounded by the demonic cultivators, but they looked calm. Seeing that, most of the people were already tearing up. That's Brother Chu. It's Brother Chu. He's fighting against the demonic cultivators for us. There are so many demonic cultivators. How is Brother Chu going to deal with them? Is he prepared to die? On the city wall, the Li family head shouted to the people in the city. Everyone, fellow cultivators, Brother Chu is fighting against the demonic cultivators for the future of the northern Lingdao state. His achievements will be remembered forever. Chapter 105. F***CK. This Li family head sure is troublesome. Lin Batian cursed in the crowd. The Li family head's action was undoubtedly to boost Chu Kuangren's reputation. Our efforts will be futile. Once Chu Kuangren is dead, we'll strike again. By then, we'll have someone to add fuel to the fire in the crowd, and the people will only remember us, Ao Chong said calmly. Public opinion was always in the hands of those with power. As long as Chu Kuangren was dead, they could write whatever they wanted in the history books. With so many demonic cultivators, each of them is enough to cut Chu Kuangren into 1,000 pieces. Let's see how he survives this time. That's right. His protectors are probably being held back by the higher-ups of the demonic orthodoxies. TSK, he's really fighting alone this time. 2 against 100,000? It would be strange if he could win. None of the Sky Prides thought highly of Chu Kuangren. To them, Chu Kuangren was no different from a dead man. On the other side of the mountain range, a terrifying Taoist rhyme permeated the void. A few people were engaged in a chaotic battle. These people were extremely powerful. All of them were honorables, and any one of them was enough to intimidate most of the strong cultivators in the world. These were the demonic cultivators that the seventh forefather and the others were fighting against. One of the gray-robed elders was fighting against the seventh forefather. Their cultivation levels were similar, and every collision caused the void to tremble violently. Who are you? I've never heard of you in the Azure Dragon domain. The seventh forefather looked at the gray-robed elder in shock. If there were any honorable supreme demonic cultivators in the Azure Dragon domain, there was no reason for him not to know about them, unless they were from another domain. I'm from the Underworld Palace, the gray-robed elder said calmly. As soon as he said that, everyone's expression changed slightly. The Underworld Palace. This was not the rumored place where the dead would go, but the most terrifying and mysterious demonic organization in Firmament Star. If I remember correctly, the Underworld Palace is usually active in the Black Warrior domain. Why are you here? The seventh forefather said coldly. Like everyone else, I'm here for the demonic spear of Apocalypse. With your cultivation level, you must not be a small character in the Underworld Palace. Which of the 10 infernal kings are you? I'm the Chakra King. As soon as he finished speaking, the gray-robed old man, the Chakravarti King, pointed a finger at the seventh patriarch, and a terrifying Taoist rhyme erupted from his fingertip. The seventh forefather did not dare to be careless. He slashed out with his green vine sword. Elsewhere, Honorable Qinglan and the old lady from the Royal Azure Dynasty had also stopped the other honorable demonic cultivators. In another place, in the middle of the mountain range, a group of demonic cultivators had gathered. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu faced the 100,000 demonic cultivators in front of them with no emotions in their eyes. Lan Yu, are you willing to join me in slaying the demons? Do your utmost until your death. Lan Yu's body emitted a blinding white light. She spread her wings and silver-white armor covered her body. She held the scepter of light in her hand, which surged with a holy aura. This divine aura made many demonic cultivators feel very uncomfortable. Chu Kuangren, hand over the demonic spear of Apocalypse, and I'll let you die in one piece. The leader of the Ashura sect said coldly. Chu Kuangren took out the demonic spear of Apocalypse and stabbed it into the ground in front of him. He then glanced at the crowd of demonic beasts. The spear is right here. If you want it, come and get it yourself. When the demonic spear of Apocalypse appeared, the demonic cultivators' breathing became heavy. They stared at the demonic spear with bloodshot eyes. Is this the demonic spear? What a powerful Taoist rhyme. Back then, the Supreme Demonic Honorable used this spear to dominate the Azure Dragon domain. If I can get my hands on this spear, I can too. Go. Kill. Without waiting for the leader to give the order, the group of demonic cultivators could no longer hold back their desire for the demonic spear and charged towards Chu Kuangren. Boom! An incredibly powerful sword chi gushed out from Chu Kuangren's body, and the first few dozen demonic cultivators who got close were instantly killed by the sword chi. Following that, the spiritual chi of the heavens and earth surged as the sword-based Taoist rhyme condensed the spiritual chi of the heavens and earth into 12 long sword chi pillars. At that moment, the area within a 100-kilometer radius had turned into a prison. Another terrifying surge of sword-based Taoist rhyme formed the sword of the heavens above Chu Kuangren's head. As the sword trembled, its sword chi danced around like an endless gale that swept across the entire area. All of a sudden, a series of mysterious Taoist rhymes reverberated in the air. A green lotus bloomed beneath Chu Kuangren's feet, and each petal was condensed from pure sword chi with mysterious Taoist patterns circulating on it. 9 Heaven Sword Prison, Sword of the Heavens, Green Lotus Sword Song. All 3 Taoist physique transformations were unleashed, Come. Chu Kuangren held the Descendant Self sword in his hand and swung it horizontally, unleashing an incredibly domineering purple sword ray. Wherever the sword ray passed, the demonic cultivators were torn apart. Spear of Judgment. Lan Yu flapped her wings and leaped into the air. A massive amount of light-based Taoist rhyme gathered and formed a white spear. The spear shot out and smashed into the crowd. Violent energy swept out and dozens of demonic cultivators were blasted into pieces on the spot. Kill! The demonic cultivators roared and charged at the same time. All sorts of attacks were aimed at Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu. In the void, colorful energy was like a raging torrent that slammed into the void. Most of these demonic cultivators were in the Golden Core and Nascent Soul realms, and only a few of them were in the Paradise realm. Although they were not considered powerful individually, 100,000 demonic cultivators attacking at the same time was extremely terrifying. White Lotus Light of Purification. Ripples appeared around Chu Kuangren as a mysterious Taoist rhyme condensed into white lotuses. All sorts of attacks landed on the lotuses, causing a series of explosions. Smoke and dust rose in all directions as dust billowed. Because of the energy storm that swept out, the surrounding mountains crazily exploded. Some of the weaker demonic cultivators were blasted away by the energy storm and died on the spot. Did it work? Haha. So what if it's Chu Kuangren? Even an honorable would die under such an attack. The group of demonic cultivators laughed maniacally. A purple sword ray shot out from the dust, and a few of the laughing demonic cultivators had their heads sliced open on the spot. How is this possible? Chu Kuangren is not dead yet. A surge of sword chi swept out from the dust, dispersing the dust and killing hundreds of demonic cultivators around him. Is this all you've got? Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu stood where they were, surrounded by white lotuses. They were unscathed. Chu Kuangren glanced at the demonic cultivators with an indifferent gaze, as if he was looking at a group of ants. This white lotus has defensive abilities. So what? I don't believe he can defend forever. Let's attack together. Don't forget, we have 100,000 people. Kill. Although the group of demonic cultivators was shocked by Chu Kuangren's strength, they did not back down. Whether it was their desire for the demonic spear of apocalypse or their confidence in their own strength, they were motivated to launch a second round of attacks. Chu Kuangren's spiritual power surged and his Taoist rhyme manifested as he activated the White Lotus Light of Purification to protect himself and Lan Yu. At the same time, he did not stop attacking. Whether it was his sword chi or Lan Yu's Spear of Judgment, every time they were used, a large number of demonic cultivators would die. There were so many of them that they did not even have to lock onto their targets. As long as they attacked, they would always hit their targets. You're tuning in to the Legend of the Vagabond YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.